And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to your weekly edition of ESL Open Cup Asia number 206, a very special edition of ESL Open Cup Asia. I'm, of course, your host, Live VIP, and with me, I'm joined by the lovely people in the chat, by my plushies, and by all these amazing players as well. Exclamation rank B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the back yourselves, because we have quite a bit of explaining to do, quite a lot to go over. And we're just diving right on in, and spawning in the top right hand corner of the Hecate, we have the blue Zerg player representing the Guangdong Freaks. It is Su. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Protoss. We have the red Protoss player. It is Eastos. Here we go, and oh boy, yeah, we're going to be keying these off with a ZVP, and again, today's tournament is going to be a different one. We can go over the brackets once we wrap up this series, but to kind of give you a taste to what's to come, or give you an idea of the kind of Wild West tournament we have here today. Of course, this is the same weekend. I say weekend, well, this is Monday, but most players in Korea are traveling, actually. Most players either qualified, or they made it to, or they decided to go to the open bracket instead of DreamHack Atlanta, which was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yes, I mean this morning, actually, like less than 24 hours ago, was the finals of DreamHack Atlanta. As a result, most players are still in America. Most players are not back at home. So this week of ESL Open Cups is going to be an interesting one. Basically, we're going to be featuring players that didn't travel. And who's traveled? Well, everyone. Dark, Maru, Solar, Bjorn, Kior, Nightmare, DRG, Shin. Most players did travel, which means they are not able to compete tonight, which means this is up for grabs for anyone who didn't. When it comes to ESL Open Cup Asia, Americas, and Europe as well. When it comes to Europe, you still got Max Pax. Max Pax, he's going to be looking to claim the crown, and I don't know if anyone can stop him. But when it comes to the Asia regionals, it's a lot more up in the air. And again, we can sink our teeth into the bracket itself right after this series to get a better idea what the hell's going on. But now, though, it is going to be a Twilight Council opener here from Eastos. So something a little more aggressive. You know, your standard kind of playstyle here is to go Stargate opener into an Oracle into a third base. Straight up Twilight Council instead. This looks like Glaives. We haven't pulled out a gas though, so this could be a Dark Shrine opener or another aggressive variation. We have a couple of options. We have some options available here for our Protoss. Meanwhile, a big shout out to everyone in the chat as well. Hello, Neogist, so Babylings, Wormschick, Soundo, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Dzień dobry. Good to see everyone in the chat. Again, it was also a really intense weekend for us as well. Yep, there it is. There is Dark Shrine on the way. Again, we noticed that we didn't pull out a gas, so it wasn't going to be Glaives. Was going to be the DTs instead. So quite a cheeky opener here from Eastos. We'll see if Su can scout and prepare. Overlord is poised to go to the Bay base. Complete. And the Overlord should be able to get eyes on everything in said main. It's going to be 4 gates in total, 3 on the way, 1 already done. Overlord comes in and we will see everything, not just the tech of the Dark Shrine, but also the lack of researching here on the gateway. So very nice scouting from Su. We have a Roach Warren on the way at around the 3:55 mark. So pretty reasonable, very reasonable time for this Roach Warren. Spore Crawler should soon be thrown down as well. And Su should be able to, defend and deflect this without taking too much damage. There we go. We have a Spore in the natural, we have a Spore at the third, and we even have a Spore in the main base. We're not cutting corners. There are some players that will just throw down 2 Spores and reposition the one in the natural into the main if we need to. But instead, we'll just be taking this seriously, calming things down, and looking to shut down the aggression as the Prism is moving out. Dark Shrine is done, and here come those DTs. Our Templar are on the way. But again, we also had a really intense weekend. We covered, of course, some of DreamHack Atlanta. Day 1 and Day 2 of DreamHack Atlanta. We didn't cover Day 3. Day 3 was exclusive to the mainstream, but Day 1 and Day 2 we were all over. We do barely pick up those Dark Templar. We saved them, thankfully. They are going to be saved. They can be morphed into Archons. We were also covering the Euro Cup over the weekend, both Day 1 and Day 2 on Saturday and Sunday. We were also covering Sparkling Tuna Cup, which was on Sunday as well. So a lot. There's a lot going on, Papi. A lot going on. As ESOS is being very conservative with this, we should have already seen an Archon and a warp in of additional DTs to morph in 2 Archons to harass, but instead we're still just sharking around with the Dark Templar themselves, so very risky move. Speaking of risky, no! The Immortal does get caught out. Big pick off here by Su. It's going to cost him a couple of links due to these adepts, but alas, Immortal does go down. Ay. Not like this. Good pick off here by Su. Across the map, with the DTs, they clean up some of the creep. We do have an Observer with this, but still no Archons, as we're getting to charge those Immortal and soon to be Archons as well. So what I mean by this is that typically after your initial DTs are deflected, you warp in 1 Archon, you morph in 2 more DTs for 2 more Archons. The reason why you do this is so you can not just harass and poke away at the creep, but also try to hunt down some overlords. You know, you have extra shields to work with, so you can maybe even get into mineral lines and focus on some drones, threaten the queens as well. You have a lot more flexibility with it. But yeah, instead, ESOS, he delayed his Archon production by quite a lot. He's building himself up here on these 3 bases, saturating his 3rd as well, droning on up, probing on up, and building up a death ball of an army. How many gateways? We have 6 gateways, soon to be 8 gateways. Oh my god, massive gateway explosion here in the main base. It's looking more and more like we're going to be committed on 3 bases. It's looking more and more like we're not really going to take these gases. We're not really interested in expanding and taking a 4th. We're just pushing on 3 bases. We're sending it all. It's all or nothing here, one way or another. ESOS will either kill Su or die trying. That's at least what it looks like here. So yeah, that's going to be the 9th and 10th gateway for ESOS. You don't get up to that many gateways unless you mean to just, yeah, commit. And the Archons! Big overextension. Where's the Prism? We needed the Prism here to juggle those Archons. One goes down already, the other taking a lot of hits. We do pull back. Sentries are being morphed in. We only have 2 of them though. Very limited force fields are available. Pushing on forward, but alas, another Archon, another 2nd, 3rd Archon goes down, and Su will completely clean this up. There's almost nothing left, just 2 Immortals remaining here, but only the Immortals. Everything else goes down. A soul cleanup here from Su. Again, taking this very seriously. Behind this, he droned up to 72, and now after deflecting that attack, he can do whatever he wants. He's droning, he could tech, he can go up to a Hydra Den, a Lurker Den, a Hive, focus on his Evo chambers for upgrades, and then we go upgrades are on the way, saturating our 4th base. ESOS, basically he was all in. He was all in with that. There's no 4th, there's no additional tech. And upon not killing his opponent, ESOS is in a really rough position. Things are not looking too good here for our Protoss. We gotta make some magic happen. We're going for an Archon drop, but alas, it's too little too late for that. We needed this like 5 minutes ago. Let's go for the Immortal drop instead. Try to trade as best we can. Thankfully, there is very limited anti-air, so this Prism should be safe. Oh no! It should be safe. Uh-oh. The Queens, they want that Prism. They want it, Bobby. It's so low. Bile's gonna be zoning back those Immortals as well. The Prism will escape. Just barely. And ESOS, we gotta be careful here. Like, this is our lifeline. I mean, even that, it's not the biggest. It's, you know, this is like, it's meaningful. We need the Prism, we need the Immortals, we need whatever we can to try to make this work here. We can't just throw it away. As we're up to 5 Immortals at this point. 6 Immortals now. Double Rover production, double Immortal production. Now we're going for a 4th, a very late 4th base. A lot of this is going to come down to mistakes from Su. If Su overcommits, if he takes a bad fight, if he engages with half of his army, then ESOS can take a fight. But that's kind of what he has to rely on. As ESOS is going to be pushing on the right-hand side. At the same time, bailing run by. We get in. To get into the 3rd base, we get a couple of probe kills. It's going to be 8 probes in total. Not too bad. Across the map, looks like there was an attempted Zealot run by. But Su, he's just amassing more bailing. Su has maxed out at this point. We do have a Zealot counterattack that's about to run into the main army, unfortunately. At the same time, the main army of ESOS pushing on the left-hand side are going to try to come across the fresh mining base of Su. Su Su does have eyes on this. Prism is still active, bear that in mind. And we will be able to get on top of this base, but can we deal with the army? That's still a lot of Immortals. A lot of Immortals available here for Eastos, but the Banelings are just rolling on in, and there's even more Banelings here. We crash into the army, we clean this up, big connections. The Immortals, they do take the Banelings to the face quite well. But everything else is going to be going down. 4 Immortals do remain, and did I say 4? It's down to 3, down to 2, down to 1, and down to none. Again, we needed that War Prism to reinforce, to juggle the Immortals as well. We even sniped the Observer as Su souls up the army for a second time, and at this point he is just getting warmed up here. Content to just absorb and swallow up these attacks. Hasn't counterattacked himself yet, but I'm sure that's about to change. So here we go. He's going to be pushing towards those next eye. No longer do we have many Immortals. Now it's all about the Archons. Banelings doing what they can. They do crash into the shield battery. Shield battery goes down. Oh, the pylon as well. We deny the warp in. The Archons so very low. They're a couple of hits away from going down. They're so fragile right now. And yeah, there we go. They are going to be falling one after the other. All the Archons, bar one, falls. Nice juggling here towards the end. But the base has been broken. Fort base is going to be going down. We get all the workers as well. So he's going for the kill move. He's going for the final blow here. Behind this, he is taking up into Hive into a Greater Spire. As I mentioned before, Su can kind of do whatever he wants. And GG gets called. Su will take game number 1. Ooh, GG. GG, well played. Su will take a lead in this series. Again, he's going to be coming in as the favorite player. Not the first time we've casted Eastos, so I'm definitely here for him. I'm here to see kind of where they can take us and how this goes. Yeah, that was a brutal game 1. I do think the execution of the DT opener was lackluster from Eastos. I do think that it was lacking, unfortunately, and Su took advantage of that. You know, if your opener isn't crisp against a player of the caliber of Su, then Su will snowball out of control, and yeah, with that he was able to take it in the end. As we're getting to our next as we're soon to get into our next game. We were about to load into Hecate. I was a little bit confused. A little bit confused. It's all fine. It's all good. It's all good. As we are remaking the lobby, getting ready for our next game. And again, we'll get to the back. We'll get to the back. Promise. I promise. We'll get there. There we go. It is going to be on Oceanborn. That's game number 2. Beautiful. Here we go. Hello, Elferop. Hello. Frosty Frost. Bag of smiles. Ah. It's a big bag. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? I'm loving the Gandalf. I can hear the saxophone in my head. Thank you for that. Thank you. But here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the favorite player here in this series, potentially in the tournament. The Blue Zerg. Representing Kwangdong Freaks, it is Su. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Red Protoss looking to fight back, looking to tie up this series and force the ace match. It is Eastos. He's from the east. He is Toss. Let's go. The ESL Open Cup. But here we go. We are just going for a gate expand. Going to be sending our probe across the map just to scout, just to see what is on the up and up. Just make sure that there's no crazy aggressive build. Make sure there's no gas first or even pull first out of Su. And Eastos will confirm that. as he does get eyes on the timing of the hatchery as well as the main base. So ESL's just making sure that he's being cheesed out. And Su, yeah, is going for a standard opener. He's going for a hatch gas pool. ESL does confirm this. Back at home, gate expand into the cybercore. Standard opener from our Protoss as well, as we're going to be easing our way into this game. As a reminder, winding it back, last game ESL did go for a Dark Shrine opener. Did go double gas into a Twilight Council, didn't pull out, which is why we were able to determine it was going to be DTs. But there are other aggressive variations here. We can go Glaive Adepts, we can go Stargate into Oracle, Stargate into Void Ray, which I would prefer as well. Based on this pylon placement, it is a little bit closer here to the main base, so we may just go for another Twilight Council, but we'll see. We'll see if ESOS does throw down that Stargate instead. Really, my eyes are on the Protoss here to kind of see what kind of direction they want to take the series in, how they want to approach, Su. We shall see. For now, Probes gonna be moving out. Oh yeah, Study Boys. Thank you so much for you subscribing for 2 months. Thank you. Do appreciate the support. Always do. Again, we've had a pretty intense couple of weekends, couple of months, couple of years. a lot of casting's been going on, and this should be a little bit more of a chill broadcast, which I do appreciate, especially after ruining my sleep schedule over the weekend. But thank you. Hope you enjoy your emotes. Thank you so much for the support. Yeah, papi, yeah. And Merry Christmas, or happy end of year, happy holidays. So we are nearing the end of 2023. But this time it's going to be a Robo Opener, not a Twilight Council. So this could go in a couple of different directions. This could be a Disruptor drop. That would make the most sense. A Disruptor drop based opener. This could be, if we want to be a little bit frisky, this could be a Colossus drop as well. We could throw down another gateway here, go for fast immortal production, and go into like a Soul Train all-in off of 2 bases. But there's the Bay, and again, this, if this was any other player, I would say, oh, Disruptor drop is the thing that makes the most sense. So this is an opener, this is a build, and ESOS is going for it with that Bay. What you make it, Colossus? What you It's on the table. Colossus drop is on the table. We'll see. We are throwing down additional gateways behind this. Prism is on the way. So the way this works is, ideally you want to fake out Glaive Adepts. We're going to be moving out with the Prism. Adepts are moving out as well. Adept is going to be spotted here. Only a single Adept, so we're not selling this too hard. Behind this, we do have Roach Warren on the way. Spore Crawlers as well. Su, he's getting ready for Glaives or Dark Templar. He's preparing himself for it. Likewise, he's amassing a lot of Lings, and he's going to be forcing defensive Warpins back at home. Uh-oh. Oh, that Stalker going to be taking a lot of hits here. We do have a second Stalker coming down from the high ground. Adept stuck on the wrong side of the wall. No. Adept is going to get surrounded. Disruptor is on the way. We should be getting Disruptor speed. What? War Prison speed as well. Good pickups here from Su. Gets an Adept, gets a Stalker, and gets the hell out of there. Behind this, Lairs on the way, and we're droning. Looks like Su, he's realized what's been going on. I mean, he's aware of the lack of Glaives. Should be aware that a Disruptor drop is a big possibility. Now, what's interesting here, we're going to base all in. Oh my god, that's going to be 4, 5, 6, 7 gates in the main with an 8th gate on the low ground. So 8 gate, 2 base all in. And we do have Disruptors, but if you notice, we did not research War Prism speed. Instead of that, we invested into all these gateways. So interesting. So this is not a War Prism drop. It looks like maybe it was supposed to be, but because of the link counter attack, we're kind of pivoting away from that, and we're just going for a big 2 base all in with Disruptors as the backbone to the army. Colossus is on the way as well, and we are hoping that maybe Su over drones. Now Su, he's saturated his 3rd for the most part. We're going to be cutting workers at 56. Oh, he was supply blocked. We're going to keep on droning now. We cannot drone up too much. If we do drone more than what, 66? More than 3 base saturation, then we could just die. This could just be too much. Su has to be careful not to be too greedy. I would like to say cutting workers here is okay. 62. We need to cut workers here. We need to focus on the army. Here we go. The Colossi had been revealed. And Eastos, he is committed. He is all in. It's all or nothing for the Protoss. We need some good connections with these Novas. And so far, the Disruptors have not been spotted. So far, there we go. Now they have been revealed. Ling's getting ready for a counterattack. Roaches are amassing here on the high ground. How many Ravagers? Only one. Uh-oh. Only one Ravager. Okay, a second Ravager does morph in. Nova goes up. Good. Oh my, big connection. And this may just be too much. We have a good concave here. Ling's coming in from behind. Additional Ravagers are arriving here. Force field slowing down the main army of Su. The Lings get cleaned up. And Eastos, we can commit. He has the higher army supply. Oh, the friendly fire. Okay, we gotta be careful. Nova goes off. I was so concerned. And these Novas, they may just be too much here as Eastos, he's breaking through the defensive line. The Queens are going down. Good juggling here. We save the Colossus. And it looks like Eastos barely has too much. The Colossus is so close to going down. And it looks like, yeah, we break through the Roaches. Su was just a little bit too greedy. Was not expecting the 2-base all-in. Was not expecting the Novas to connect as hard as they did. The boys are being pulled. They have to be the Novas. We try to split. We try. But we still had a good connection nonetheless. Now again, Eastos is still all in. We have reinforcements on the way. Eastos did lose his Colossus. He lost one Disruptor. Stalkers are falling. Su, he still has the better economy. He just has to hold. He just has to survive. Can he survive, puppy? Eastos is so close. He's going for another warp in behind this. Losing a good chunk of Stalkers, but he's breaking through once again. He has broken the back of Su. And Eastos making a name for himself here again with the unorthodox 2-base all-in. The boys are being pulled, but alas, it's not going to be enough. It looks like Eastos has done. We have a couple of Roaches that are trickling on in, but it's a numbers game. At this point, it is a numbers game, and there are just too many Stalkers. We're going to the ace match. We are going all the way, pap. GG gets called, and Eastos takes game number 2. GG. Oh, Su just, yeah, getting caught with his pants down here. Ay, ay, ay. Su just droning up a little bit too much, not really expecting or not ready for the all-in. Was caught out, and just like that, we get an ace match. Wow, you sound like you just woke up. I did. I could hear it myself. I'm like slurring my words. I'm like, oh, papi, hello. Oh, God. I did just wake up. I slept for like 2 hours. Ay, ay, ay. To be fair, I slept like how many hours? In the morning, I was able to watch the Stormgate's beta show match. I watched all the show match, and then I passed out, and then I woke up in time for I think Cyril versus Clem into the finals of DreamHack Atlanta. So I think I only slept like 2 or 3 hours, and then in the afternoon I had another nap and was able to sleep another 2 hours as well. So all in all, I've slept like around 6 hours, I think, something around that time. Regardless, though, we are getting into the ace match, into game number 3, and spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Golden Aura, we have the blue Zerga player. Ooh, being forced here into game 3, into that ace match, representing the Crank Freaks. It is Su. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the red Protoss player, tying up the series 1-1, forcing the ace match. It is Eastos. Here we go, showing us that, mate, even a player of the caliber of Su is susceptible to a 2-base all-in. 8 gateways, disruptors. That was disgusting, by the way. That was very unorthodox from Eastos, and it did work out. Did snowball out of control. And can he do it again? Can he pull a fast one over on Su for a second time? I'm sure Su's going to be a little bit more careful coming into this. I'm sure he's going to be a little bit more wary as to what's going on. But ESL so far, he has mixed it up. Game 1 was Dark Templar. Game 2, Robo Opener into Disruptors. Game 3, what do you got? What do you got for us? Oh boy. So now Su is going for a hatch gas pull. Standard opener out of Su. Likewise, ESL's gate expand. Likewise, everything is looking normal. Basically, I'm waiting for the Cybercore to finish, and then we'll see what tech of choice we go for. We've seen a Twilight Council, we've seen a Robo. Do we finally see a Stargate? I would not be opposed to a Stargate opener into a Void Ray. I wouldn't be opposed to that at all, but we'll see. We shall see. As it is going to be a Twilight Council opener out of Eastos. Let's go. Now, this could be Dark Templar again. This could be Glaive Adepts. This could be even a 2-base charge all-in, which is more of a fringe build, but I bring it up just because this seems to be, again, more of an unorthodox player, so anything is on the table. 2-base Blink all-in? That would be crazy. That'd be wild. Here we go, Lings. They slip into the main base. They get eyes on the tech of choice. They do confirm the Twilight Council. But so far, that is all they confirm. We have not pulled out of gas. This looks like Dark Templar again. We'll see. Now, the other option here, because we haven't pulled out, is that this could be Glaives plus Dark Templar as well. It could be both. We could commit in both kind of avenues. Dark Shrine is thrown down, as to be expected, but we are not starting Glaive. So it's just going to be a DT opener. DT opener into a third. We should be expanding with this. We should be expanding. As Undead does get across the map, doesn't get too much done here. It looks like 2 drones fall. Oh, and there's that safety Roach Warren here at the 4-minute mark. Meanwhile, behind this, we're going for a bit of a gateway explosion. It's going to be 4 gates in total. Alongside the would-be Dark Templar. Su was able to confirm he went in with the Overlord. He did get eyes on that Dark Shrine. He's aware of what's going on. He is aware. And again, Su should be throwing down Spore Crawlers momentarily. He has all the information he needs. He's going for a faster lair. Bit of a greedy move here from our Zerg player, but we'll see if we can get away with it. There are those spores. There are those spores on the way. 1 for each base. He's just getting ready back at home as well. Going with those Dark Templar. Again, we have a spore for the natural, the third, and the main, so again, Su, he should be fine. The Dark Templar shouldn't be able to do too much damage. Behind this, we're going straight into charge this time. A very fast tech transition. Meanwhile, we go for the Queen. Oh, Queen does go down. Good pick off. We can go straight for the Roach, the Roach as well. Spore Crawler is done. Overseer's on the way. Eastos will respect it. He will back off. From here, he can go into those Archons and try to pick off some of these Overlords. Some of them are exposed. They are exposed. And there we go. Archons are on the way. A much more cleaner transition this time from Eastos compared to Game 1. It's going to be much more cleaner here as we can drop the Archons and we can try to hunt down some of these Overlords, and we should be able to get at least one. Nicely done. Another is a little bit exposed out here that we could go for as well. Behind this, gateway explosion. 3-base all in. Essentially, a 3-base all in here from Eastos. It's going to be Mortals, Chargels, and Archons. We're going to be going for a massive push here. And once again, we are hoping that Su over drones. Now, last time it was a 2-base all in, and getting up to over 60 workers was a bit much for Su. This time, Su will need a 4th to keep up with the production of his opponent. See if he does get a good target firing here on the Prism. The Prism taking a lot of hits. Prism does take a lot of damage. Does have to back off. Additional Dark Templar on the way for those Archons. And we are just focusing on amassing our army. Again, 6 gateways. Going to be 9, 10 gates into... Jesus. Oh my god. This is a little bit excessive. So it's 9 gateways here, plus another 2, so we have 11. 12 gates. 12 gate, 3 base all in. I think this is too many gateways. I don't think we can actually afford this. But regardless, a lot of gateways nonetheless. 12 gates here from ESL. Massive amount of pylons to make sure we don't get supply blocked. And this is it. We are committed. Now, Su joined up to 65. Su does have a decent army here on the way. 24 roaches. The Archon, we have to pull it back. Here we go. 24 roaches. We have a standing army. Where are those zealots? You know, we've got 12 gates. We need those reinforcements. It isn't just about the massive army here of Archons and Immortals. We need the buffer. But there's just too much Zerg here. Su is macro getting out of control. Bile's going to be thrown down here on top of the army. Almost takes down the Prism. Archons are trading well, but they're going down. They're getting low. Again, we need those zealots. We need those reinforcements, but it may just be too much. It may just be too late. We just lost how many Archons? 3. Half the Archons went down. Here we go. Here, some of the Archons attacking the hatchery. They need to get into the fight. They need to get in there. And again, there's just too much Zerg. The clutch transfusing reinforcements as well. We clean up the Archons, and now we should be able to clean up the Immortals as well. It was all or nothing for Eastos. And it was a decent effort. A little bit disjointed when it comes to the execution of the 3-base all-in. Unfortunately, we just did not have enough to support the army. And just maybe invested a little bit too much into all this production as well. And here we go. Su is going to be pushing. Going for a massive counterattack. And what is there at home to defend? We have 1 Archon, 2 Immortals, and 1 Sentry. Not too much at all. We can push in. We can commit here. And Su, he knows it. He finds a better angle of attack. He does dive on top of the army. Takes down 1 Immortal. Gonna be respecting the overcharge. Does kite back. Oh, in doing so, no, he just dives on the army itself. The Biles, they'll connect. They take. Oh my god, they almost take down the shield battery. Almost connect with that Prism as well. And it looks like there's just too much Su. Oh, we do have a couple of DTs. Where's the detection? Uh-oh. Detection is on the way. Not like this. Overseers are in production. Overlord speed as well. Eastos will survive thanks to the Invisible Man. But once we have detection, the Invisible Man won't be enough. Not anymore. Lings are going straight for that 4th. We're ravaging here towards the 3rd. Trying to hold on here. Zealots are being cleaned up. Meanwhile, we got a big surround, and that's going to be a kill on that Nexus, not a cancel. At the same time, Su rotating over towards the right-hand side. Again, looking for a better angle of attack. No more shield batteries, barely any stack defense. There's 1 cannon in the middle line, and that cannon is not going to help. And GG is going to get called. Su able to fight back, able to take the series 2-1, advancing on to the next round. GG. GG, well played. And with that, congratulations, Su will make it through. Barely, though. He was forced into the ace match. Eastos put on a show. I do appreciate it here by Eastos. But congratulations to Su as he does advance on. Congratulations. He advances on into the next round to face off against his next opponent, who is lying in wait. Exclamation mark B. I believe the command is soon to be fixed. It was a little bit, it was actually the wrong command for a little bit there, but we can head on over ourselves. We can check that bracket. Give me a moment here. And here we Go, bam. There we go. ESL Open Cup Asia number 206. I mentioned before, so if you just tuned in, this is a very special edition. Why? Most of the Koreans are traveling. Most of the Koreans travel to the Americas to compete in DreamHack Atlanta this weekend. And they're still there. They're still in the Americas. They're still waiting to travel back home. And the travel is quite a long one, so they are not here in time, which means, you know, Dark is traveling, Cure, Beyond, Hero, Classic, Nightmare, Shin, DRG, to name a few. They're all in America. They are not actually at their PCs to compete, to take part in ESL Asia. So instead, it's up for grabs. It is anyone's game. We have, from the top, we have Coffee rocking up. We have Close, who's an amateur Korean player as well. I believe a Korean Terran. But we have Coffee, the Chinese Terran. We have Su, Eastos, Stats. Su and Stats, I would say, are the biggest names here. Biggest Korean names. And they happen to be facing off against each other. They have to knock each other out. Su and Stats. And that is our next series, by the way. That is going to be our next series. Su versus Sats. Scrolling down a little bit further, we have Hon, Mono, Nogiri, Jeshi, Nice, Fork. I believe Firefly and Cyan are also traveling. Like a lot of the Chinese, I mentioned the Koreans, a lot of the Chinese players are traveling as well. Like Cyan, like Firefly. Not Jeshi though. Jeshi is going to be competing here tonight. Hon, Mono as well. Nice, the best player in all of Taiwan. So yeah, a little bit more of a different turnout. A very different turnout this time. From our players here, and as a result, anyone can win this. Coming into this, I want to favor Stats. But we have seen players like Jeshi pop off in PvP, and Jeshi has beaten players of the caliber of Stats, if not greater than Stats. So it's not a sure thing. My prediction is going to be a finals between Stats and Jeshi. There's potential for Coffee to cause an upset. Coffee versus Stats could go either way. And again, even Su versus Stats, that could go either way as well. Like, even though I favor Stats, like, that's going to be a slight favoritism here. Because the difference in skill between Su and Stats isn't that great. Isn't that large. So here we go. That's our next series. Meanwhile, I just got an update. I was hoping to catch Hon Mono later on, but yeah, Jeshi did eliminate Hon Mono from the tournament. 2-1. 2-1. Jeshi advances on to the semifinals, waiting for either Fork, Nice, or Yax. Yax? YKAS. Here we go. And we are getting into that next game, into that next series. Vetoes are done. Lobby has been made. We are getting into Stats versus Su. Let's go. It's still pretty early on here in the tournament, but you know what? Especially because these two teammates are facing off. Predictions. Predictions are going to be open. I'll do my best. Manage predictions. Quarterfinals match. Okay, upon hearing this message, you should have a couple of minutes to place your bets on who you think advances on. Will it be Stats or will it be Su? Again, they are both teammates. They're both good friends. They both do represent the Kwangdong Freaks, but only one can advance on, and it is brutal that they have to face off this early on in the tournament, so best of luck. Predictions, they're upon us. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alkione, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the red Protoss representing the Kwangdong Freaks. It is Stats. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Zerg player, also representing the Kwangdong Freaks, as they are teammates. It is Su. Here we go. Again, predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think is going to advance on to the semifinals. Jeshi is already in the lower semifinals. Coffee is poised to face the winner of this series. Well, who's it going to be? For now, Su forced to take the unnatural natural. Stats going to be here to deny him, to block him, to make things a little bit more awkward here. Back at home, Stats should be going for a gate expand, and when it comes to covering Stats here in this matchup, he is one to embrace more of a mid-game scenario, going for a Stargate opener into a third. I will be surprised to see a Twilight Council opener out of Stats. I know in the last PvZ, it was just non-stop aggression. It was either a Twilight Council or robo-based play. But here we should be seeing something very different from Stats. Very different kind of play. I see in the chat, no SOS or TY. Unfortunately, SOS and TY aren't really active in the online weekly scene. Unfortunately, it would have been great to have seen all of the Kwangdong players, right? Like, there was potential to have like top 8 be all Kwangdong players, right? Like SOS, TY, Keen, Armani. Could have brought them all out. Could have brought them all out alive as well. I know SOS isn't on Kwangdong, but you know what I mean, right? Like, they all could have popped out. Who else? Bunny's traveling, unfortunately. But Bunny, he also went to the Americas, was also a part of DreamHack Atlanta. But those are the only Koreans that come to mind. Are we missing anyone else? We're missing a lot of the amateur Koreans. I know there's Close, and I know there's Honmono, but we're missing, like, Quanta. We're missing Percival, for example. We're missing... who else? Stephen Curry. Rebellion. The reality is a lot of those players, they have kind of petered off. They haven't been as active recently, unfortunately. I've noticed that. A lot of them, they have been taking a step back. 3 points is another one. 3 points. I've been taking a step back, taking a break from StarCraft in recent months. But they all could have had a really good shot here. Really good shot. As our first attempt to make its way across. So it is going to be the Stargate opener, as we mentioned. Stargate should be Oracle, but Void Ray is also very viable. Oh, and then we go for the other one. It's going to be a Phoenix. So something really interesting. We were casting Classic over the weekend. We were casting Classic during DreamHack Atlanta, and Classic leading up to DreamHack Atlanta was very fond of Void Ray openers, but at DreamHack Atlanta, he was going for nothing but Phoenix openers instead. We were casting Classic versus Lambo, if I recall correctly. So yeah, it was really interesting to see him just vary it up here, and we're seeing something similar from Stats. Now, the power behind this opener is, one, you shut down the Overlord, so you keep the Zerg player guessing as to what comes next. It could be a second Stargate into a Fleet Beacon. It could be Ground Toss. It could be Glaive Adepts, for example. Could be DTs. Could be anything behind this. On top of that, we have a little bit of extra micro ability here. Because we're investing into Oracles, this Phoenix can actually dive in and can lift up some of these Queens, and then the Oracles can go to town here on this mineral line. This opener going Phoenix first was very popular at the start of the year. Hero popularized it, you know, like March-ish, February, March sort of era of StarCraft. It did fall out of favor very quickly. It was around for like a month or so, and then kind of went away for a while. But yeah, it's cool to see some Protoss players like Stats and Classic kind of bring it back a little bit here. It's nice to see it again. As the Oracle dives into that natural, gets one drone kill. Only one so far. Only one worker, as we do have the Phoenix diving into the main base. Gets another Overlord. Nice pickoff. Behind this, we have our transition. It's going to be a Twilight Council and a Forge. Standard follow-up here. This should be for Blink and +1. So on the one hand, anything could be happening because of this Phoenix, because Su has no vision, even standard play, and Su just doesn't know. He's in the dark. He is being kept guessing. Oh, meanwhile, we're going for the lift. There we go. The Queen is going to be lifted. The Oracles, they go ham here in the mineral line. They get another 3 drones. Good damage so far. Oh, the Phoenix takes a lot of damage. It's going to be 4 workers in total, 2 Overlords, 3 lanes. The efficiency here, Stats has not lost a single unit so far. He hasn't gone to town and killed an immense amount of units, but good trades, efficient trades nonetheless. Very efficient trades here. Behind this, we have our Gateway Explosion. Oh, and my apologies. Okay, so this is a bigger Gateway Explosion than we usually expect, and there's a reason for that. No Blink. It's Charge. Charge instead of Blink here for Stats. Which means we are going to be hitting a bit of a stronger timing here. With +1, we're going to be committing. And we should be working towards Archons, towards a Temple Archives alongside this as well. So the way this works usually is you throw down the Temple Archives and you hit a timing with 2 Archons. 2 Archons and you get a massive charge lot warping behind it. You hit a timing, you move out, and you try to catch the Zerg player off guard, unawares. Meanwhile, Ling is going to be checking saturation here at the 3rd base. It's fully saturated. Immortal production has commenced for that death bull of an army. There's that Temple Archives we were speaking of. So this should be leading into, I think, 1 or 2 Immortals, then we go into a Warp Prism, and then of course we attack in line with this Temple Archives finishing up as well. So this can hit like a truck. This can absolutely snowball out of control, and we'll see if Su can prepare in time. He's going into Ling Bane Roach Ravager. Baneling Nest just finished up. He's droned up to 69. Nice. He should be able to drone up a little bit further, up to not quite 80, but just under it. And there we go. 74 workers here. A solid economy from Su. And now we need to focus on army composition. And here comes that push. Now, stats behind this, interesting. He's going straight into Blink. So he's actually not going to be hitting that crisp timing that we were speaking of. No, Shiobari's going to be going down. Probes as well. Oh my god! The probes! 1 probe does go down. So many of them get softened up. But yeah, I assumed it would be 2 Immortals into a Prism. It's 2 Immortals into a 3rd Immortal and into Blink instead. Which means we are not committing. Sure, charge is done, we have access to Archons, but we're not really investing into them too hard here. Yeah, we're going for a slower game. We're going for another base, a 4. So stats, he's saying this slow. He's saying this very slow. I'm a little bit torn here from this build from stats, just because there was no reason to rush into charge if we wanted to be defensive like this. Like, charge is done and all this stuff, but we're not really making use of it. We're getting a 4th base. Essentially, we could have been a little bit greedier. We could have been more tech heavy as well. Typically, if we're going up to a 4th like this, we usually go double Robo Colossus production. Just because we have some really big power spikes when we get up to 4 Colossi. But here, it feels like, yeah, Stats maybe had an idea, maybe changed his mind, and is now getting into like a stronger economy instead. Now, because of this kind of build order from Stats, Su has full map control, and he has been free to drone up to 80. He's gone up to 78. He could go up to past 80 at this point with a 5th hatchery. Go to a 5th hatchery. Hive is on the way as well. Like, Su is taking advantage of the passivity here of Stats. And again, because Stats doesn't have a War Prism and kind of misses timing here, he can't really punish Su. He's fighting for map control, yes, but Su isn't really in any danger. Like, Stats isn't pushing anytime soon. Shouldn't be pushing anytime soon. I say that. Storm is done. +2 is about to kick in. If we move out, it's going to be crazy because, again, we still don't have a War Prism. Lings are coming in for a surround. They get on top of the High Templar. Big surround here from Su. Every single High Templar goes down. With the Baileys, they crash into the Zealots as well, and Su will shut this down. We do still have those Archons and Immortals, though. It has to be respected. Oh my god, so many Roaches going down. We don't have Roach speed. I was like, why? Why are they so slow? Roach speed. We have Ling speed, Bailing speed +2, and no Roach speed, so we get punished hard there. Ay, that should not have happened. So many Roaches went down there in the retreat. That was 8 Roaches and 2 Ravagers falling. And honestly, we should have been able to pivot away from that without losing any Roaches and Ravagers. That was brutal. And the Immortal and Archon count stays strong. There it is. +1 air attack is on the way. Now, thankfully, Su, he's double expanding, taking a 5th and a 6th hatchery. I do still think that he can drone a little bit more from here. Hive is done, working on +3, Adrenal, Greater Spire, rushing into Broodlords. I believe we should be able to get into Broodlords without too much issue here. We can see, again, Stats taking a very defensive position back at home. Fleet Beacon is on the way. More Stargates. The Sky Toss is dangerous, don't get me wrong, but I'm pretty sure Su will hit first. We'll see if we can do anything with it. Does get eyes on the army. At the same time, Link counterattacking on the right-hand side. And yeah, Stats, he's just chilling back at home. Now, Su is going to have to trade because he's soon to max out and he needs room for these Broodlords. The other scary thing is that these Broodlords are 0-0. Doesn't have any upgrades for his Sky Zerg army. And he also needs to recognize that Skytoss is on the way. Like, he has the tech to get into Corruptors, but we need upgrades. We need those upgrades, and we need the knowledge that we need Corruptors as well. The Rumbais are coming in. Su is going to be able to keep up with them, is going to be able to shut them down. They do hit the northern base at the same time. Bailing Rumbai, we do react in time. Quick moves out of stats, doesn't lose any probes. Very nice defense here from Stats. At the same time, he's going to be trading out Zealots for Lings. Stats is freeing up supply for carrier production. Here we go. At Stats, he does catch some of these Lings at least. Again, still working towards those 5 bases. Lings, they catch some of the probes. At the same time, another Zealot Rumbai does get cleaned up. Broodlords are on the way, but again, we still haven't seen the Skytoss, so we still have 0-0 upgrades. I'm concerned. Like, 0-0 Corruptors, they're not ideal, even if you amass them. Zealots, a breakthrough on the left-hand side. Hatchery is going to be going down. Big pick-off here from Stats. Big pick-offs. How many Broodlords are we working with at this point? We're working with 5 Broodlords, soon to be 7. So 7 Broodlords are on the way. But we still haven't seen the carriers. That's the problem. Okay, there we go. +1 air attack. Thankfully, +1 air attack is in production for Su. Up. Sage Trap's going to be going off here on the right-hand side. Nice baits. Bailing's going to be rolling in. The Archons are about to finish up. Just in time. The Archons, they do finish with the Bailings. They get into the mineral line. And they will connect. They crash into those probes. Every single worker goes down. The Roaches rock up as well. We will take down this base. At the same time, a big link can attack here towards the north. 2 bases going to be falling here at once. We get it once again. Another mineral line. Stats down to 32 workers. Carriers have been revealed. And we should be remaxing on Corruptors. Unfortunately, Su is maxed out. Su just made 62 Lings. Is bleeding out Roaches, which I think is a good thing. We need Corruptors more than anything. As many as we can muster. And Stats was just pulled apart here, losing 2 bases and that extra 3rd base mineral line. His economy has been crippled. His army is still terrifying. Look at these Immortals. We have how many? 8 Immortals, 4 Carriers, 4 Archons. The army supply is still looking strong. So Stats could go all in and could even win the game with an all in. He has Storms as well. How many High Templar? Wait. 5 High Templar, each with more than 1 Storm. They're all topped up. So Stats can still win a fight, but he cannot rebuild his army. If he takes a poor fight, if he doesn't trade well enough, then Su will snowball out of control. So Stats has to be very careful with his movement. Again, very careful with his positioning because of his lack of economy. His army has been spotted. Su, he knows. He knows it's here on the left-hand side. Getting in position. We've been able to build up to 11 Corruptors. That's okay. That's an okay amount. 7 Broodlords. That's looking better. Again, we need a lot of Broodlords. Like, there's only 4 Carriers. Right now, the terrifying thing about Stats' army is the ground army, so we need Broodlords. Okay, they roll in. Oh, they take down 2 High Templar. Very good pick-offs there. We had 5 High Templar, now we're down to 3. At the same time, a Link counterattack here on the right-hand side. Here we go. Stats. He's remaxing. He's rebuilding. His economy is getting back up and running. You can make a big argument here that Su, after shutting down the economy of Stats, didn't do enough to capitalize. I think the biggest thing here is the lack of Second Spire. Second Spire, and we're missing upgrades. +1 finished. Where's +2? Those air upgrades here are lacking. The ground upgrades as well. No Carapace. I mean, Carapace isn't the most impactful thing, but specifically these Spire upgrades. Like, Su, he has a bank. He's got 2k, 2k. So this is still on a knife's edge. Again, Stats can still win a fight. Here we go. Storm going to be connecting. One Archon goes down. We get a carrier. More Storms being thrown down as well. We're able to avoid most of them. Second carrier falls. We're down to 2 carriers remaining. Down to 1. And we need some more Broodlords. Again, too many Corruptors. We need Broodlords, Bobby. 1 carrier left, and it's going to be focused down as well. But we have a massive Archon army pushing forward. We have Lings on the way. But we need more Broods. We're kiting back. And here we go. This is it. This is the moment for Stats. We have to push through. We have to counterattack. At the same time, Corruptors, they go for the kill on the Nexus. They force back the army. Big moves here from Su. Forcing it back. There's still 1 carrier left. So we can still justify a couple of Corruptors. Su, he does have a little bit of free supply to work with here. There it is. Broods are on the way. Ling's going for a big counterattack. They should be denying the southern base. Archon does arrive in time, though. Does trade well. Oh, the Lings are gonna... Oh, God. Lings of Su having a hard time finding too much value. Stats, his economy is now back up and running. He's building up a bank. Stats has found himself back in this. Stats is back in this. Su does have a bank, but let's see if we can make use of it. Here we go. 1 Archon does go down. We blink on forward. We're trying to get on top of those Broodlords. We get 1. We get 2. Broodlords are falling. They stand in the storms as well. Corruptor's going ham here on that base. And we dive forward once again. We focus on another 3 Broods. But it looks like we should have enough here. It looks like Su should barely break through. The carrier falls. We're down to 4 Broodlords left. 3, 2. Every single Broodlord's falling. Again, a big overextension here. No kiting whatsoever. And now we gotta go. Now Stats, he's all in. It's all or nothing. Su, he's burning through his bank, trying to rebuild, trying to remax on Lings and Roaches. He's going for counterattacks. 5 more Broodlords are on the way at the goal base. Massive wall of stack defense. Su, he's ready for the base trade. I'm loving the foresight here. These fringe bases are going to be going down, but look at how many spine crawlers we have here on the right-hand side. Queens as well for transfuse. And we are just slowly amassing Broodlords. Yeah, base is going to be falling. Stats pushing on the right-hand side. Takes down one of these bases again. This is a death bull of an army. But with the help of these spine crawlers and Broodlords, we should hold on to at least these 2 bases. I think Su is going to lose everything else. I think Su will lose his natural and his main. I don't think he can really do much about that. And Stats can always recoil. Oh no! Su exposes himself, loses another Brood. He's being very adventurous with this army. Su has to be careful. I mean, he does protect his natural, to be fair. Does protect it. Stats, he's warping in additional Stalkers. Here we go. We do see Su chasing this back. He catches another Immortal. Good trades here, but again, Stats has the supply. He has been amassing Stalkers, and he's luring these Broodlords out. We dive in a little bit prematurely. We get 1. Again, ideally we want to drag these Broodlords more out into the open. Meanwhile, another counterattack here on the right-hand side. Stats is getting his economy back up and running. Has been cranking out those probes. And technically, Su should have the better army. He does have +2 now, thankfully. He has +2 air attack. That will help. Technically, the mass Broodlord is going to be better. Do we have the infestation? We do have the pit. Fungals would be ideal. Broodlord Infestor is what we need right now. It's going to be 2 bases here from the Zerg player against 2 bases from the Protoss. Stats is going to have more efficient mining. I mean, we have the gold, I guess. The gold is helping. The gold is helping stabilize here for Su. But Su needs a third. He's going to try to expand here on the right-hand side. The spine coolers are going to get caught out. Stats, he's here just in time to get on top of those spines. Broodlords, they're going to be coming in. We need a kite. 2 broods go down. 3 broods. Oh my god, and it looks like Stats has too much. Yeah, he has far too much here, even with the Sack Defense. He dives on top of the army. Focuses down the Broodlords one after the other. There's almost nothing left here for Stats. Sorry, for Su, and Stats will break his opponent, will take the game. GG gets called, and Stats takes game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Again, a solid game there out of Stats. When we spoke about Su, again, there were a couple of things that he was lacking. If you recall what we were getting at, his Broodlord counts never really hit critical mass, never had any spellcasters to support, specifically Infestors. His upgrades were lacking, and yeah, he did overextend that first time he pushed out across the map. The first time he lost all of his Broodlords, he was looking a little bit overconfident. If you remember, he wasn't microing back. I think Su believed that he could break his opponent then and there. Clearly he couldn't. Lost all of his Broodlords. We ended up in a weird base trade, and yeah, Stats, he held on. Stats was able to clean up in the end. GG. But there were moments. There were definitely some opportunities for Su. Definitely. There were moments where he was ahead, but they were merely moments. Wasn't enough to take it in the end. GG. GG, well played. As a reminder, this is a best of 3. Best of 3, so we're soon going to be getting into game number 2. Just catching up in the chat. Or Firefly. Firefly, I believe, traveled, right? I thought Firefly was at DreamHack. Am I crazy? I know Cyan was. Also, big shout out to White Eyes. There's Stephen Curry. I brought him up earlier. Papi, why weren't you a part of the tournament today? Stephen Curry, Quanta, Percival. Shaking my head, shaking my head. Ah. Esther Stephen Curry. There's wondering, that's a South Korean Protoss player. He's in the chat. I said this was an opportunity for MaxPax to attempt the triple. The problem with that, though, I see Thorn in the chat talking about MaxPax taking multiple of these. The problem is that MaxPax is a bit of a degen. He wakes up very late, so it's too early for him. It's I think he has played in ESL Asia, I think once or twice before, but I'm pretty sure that's only when he stays up. Like, I think it's a little bit too early for him. Unfortunately. Otherwise, it would have been cool to see. Would have been cool to see. But here we go, spawning in the top left-hand corner of Golden Aura, we have the red Protoss player. Representing the Kwangdong Freaks, leading the series 1-0. It is Stats. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Zerg player. Representing the Kwangdong Freaks as well, going for a 15-15. It is Su. Here we go. So for those that are curious, we speak about this all the time. 15-15 is a 15 hatchery into a 15 spawning pool. Is a very greedy way to play, and we see this very often here on Golden Aura just because of the base layout, just because these bases are so close together. You can afford delaying your gases and getting away with only defending with queens. Again, basically, we're just going to be droning up as hard as we can and focusing on mineral income for as long as we can as well. This also usually leads into roach play, but we'll see if we invest into link speed, now that the gas is soon to be taken. So a bit of a greedier opener here from Su. Meanwhile, Stats across the map, just getting into a standard opener, a gate expand into the Cybercore. Go. We are going to be settling into this. Su took every fight badly. I think the second fight when he was able, the fight where he was able to focus down 3 of those carriers, I think was fine. It's just he stuck around a little bit too long. If you remember, I think that was before Broods, before his massive amount of Broods. But yeah, there were a couple of mistakes here and there for Su. Again, I do think the fights where he committed with his Broodlords, I do think that he was overconfident. It did feel that way, just because he felt like he could just, you know, aim move a little bit and you know, try to kill stats then and there. That was a brutal moment for Su. Despite that, we are going to be settling into the series. Me and 3 Point forgot to participate today. No! Stephen Curry. Smurge. Also, the ping to Asia must be 300 plus for him. I mean, it hasn't stopped him before. Like, he'll play. He's just in bed. He's not awake for another couple of hours. Smurge. As Stats is going to be going for Stargate Opener into a Phoenix. Okay. Here we go. Phoenix production has commenced. But I feels next time, Bobby, next time. Este Stephen Curry. Este 3 Point. Those wondering, 3 Point is a South Korean Zerg player. And we love them both. Lunacy is the other one, of course. Lunacy. He's crazy. He's a lunatic. Another Korean Protoss. Next time. Promise. Here we go. It is going to be taking that third base. So yes, that's just going for Stargate Opener into a third. Phoenix first, as we saw in the previous game in game number 1. So pretty standard opener overall. Meanwhile, Su did invest into Link Speed. He did, of course, go for a bit of a later Link Speed, but invested nonetheless. And he has just been droning heavily, focusing on sport production here to defend against the would-be Oracles. And the Queens are out. We have 2 Queens here in the main. We have 2 Queens at the natural as well. Do pick one of them up. We get 1 drone kill. So far, only 1 worker though, as the Queens do zone stats away. Do zone him away. Stats taking his third base. Link's going to be moving out to get an eye on the third, but we have plenty in position. We have 4 of these adepts in position, so the Lynx can't really do too much here. They get eyes on the base, but can't really do much about it, as they are being forced back. Meanwhile, the Oracles, they go ham, they take down a Queen, and another drone. Not too bad. 2 workers, a Queen. And so far, we keep all the Oracles alive. Good trades here from Stats. Across the map, we're going to be getting into a Forge, into a Twilight Council, as well as a Robo. So standard transition. This should be +1 in Blink, but last game we saw +1 in Charge. Okay, there we go. It is going to be more standard opener. If you recall, I wasn't quite fond of Stats' build of choice in the last game, where he went for Charge. He wasn't really able to do much with it. Went for delayed Archons and was kind of stuck at home. It felt a little bit too middle of the road and wasn't able to really achieve too much. But this is looking a little bit more crisp. Again, with Blink, we can be more active on the map. We have a full wall here at the third base as well. Stats just getting comfortable. Likewise, Su going to be going into Lingbane Roach Ravager. We have the Bailey Nest on the way alongside the Roach Warden as well. Su going to be taking the 4th. Going to be setting things up. In the chat. Good morning, dear legends. Hello, Alex G Punk. Hello. 3 Point is practicing hard these days. I'll tell him to participate in tournaments soon. Okay. Good to hear, Bobby. Good to hear. I hope you're taking care of yourself. At the time this tournament started at 11 AM his time. I don't think he stayed up all night to play. Mate, you don't understand how much of a DJ. You're probably right. He probably didn't, but I could see him doing that, to be honest. I could 100% see him doing that. As we actually find another Overlord. Very nice pickoff here from Stats. He does somehow elude the Queens. and the Phoenix does escape, gets eyes on the fourth, gets eyes on the fifth. Fourth is already up and running. Su on a solid worker count of 82. Very solid. Meanwhile, Stats, he is going for a more tech-heavy style. Once again, only a single robo. It's going to be a single robo modal production into Archons. A very defensive tech-heavy style here from Stats. We did invest into Blink, but weren't able to achieve too much with it. This is a bold move. We're pushing out without a Warp Prism. Very risky maneuver here from Stats. He has Blink to save his Stalkers, that's true, but he doesn't have Blink to save his Immortals. So yeah, get out of here. Thankfully, he pulls back with the Immortals. And there we go, he pulls back with the Stalkers as well. Looks like he was trying to force an overreaction, and he did force out a wave of Lings. Su was a little bit terrified of the attack. And we're going to be calming things down. So again, Stats, he's just turtling up here on 4 bases. I do think that this is a really solid 4-base setup. He's got a full wall here. He's got plenty of stack defense here on the right-hand side as well. More cannons on the way. Bailings are rolling in. Can Stats react in time? Up! And it looks like he will pull back. Blinks on forward. Bailings connects, but only take down a handful of probes. Good defense here from Stats. And there's that fleet beacon. There are those Stargates. Again, he's turtling up into Skytoss. Very similar to the previous game. Meanwhile, Greater Spire on the way. It's almost a repeat here of game 1. Where Su is rushing into Broodlords, and we have Stats rushing into Skytoss. Hive is already done at this point. Adrenals on the way. Last game, we did invest into +3 as well. That did occur. I'm sure Su is one to invest once again. Now, the big thing here is that Su doesn't know about the transition. Just like the previous game, he's not fully aware that carriers are going to be on the way. He had a little potential in that last game. There was a really good moment where he was able to kill 2 bases, take down extra mineral lines, where he was ahead economically, but his army was lacking. That was the big problem for Su, is that he was outscaled by the quality of the army of Stats. And hopefully that doesn't happen again. Hopefully. We'll see. Meanwhile, there we go. Broodlords are on the way. A much more crisp timing here. This time, Broodlords are on the way, and there is nothing in the air. So Su tightening up his build quite a bit this time. A very strong timing with 8 Broodlords is on the way. Carriers are now in production, but the Broodlords will hit first. And because we're on Golden Aura, it's a double-edged sword. The rush distance by ground is very short, so it doesn't take too long at all to attack one way or the other. So here we go. So, but we need to go. we need to send that back. Here we go. Broodlords are on the way. Su's amassing his army. We have spine coolers being thrown down to get ready for those zealot run-bys. Carriers are halfway done. How many corruptors do we have? We have 0 corruptors. Every corruptor was morphed into Broodlords. 4 corruptors are on the way. That's going to be okay. And can we focus down at those High Templars? Stage Trap is going to be baited. Stalker's going to be going down. The army being zoned back here by the Broodlords. And again, we have to be very careful with the control. We have to dance with the army. We cannot allow Stats to close the distance on these Broods. Big Storm. We focus down 1. Broodlords are being focused down. Oh, they do stand in some of these storms. And it looks like Stats, he's getting on top of them. He's breaking through. Yeah, he does clean up the entire army. The storms were insane. And only 2 Broodlords are left. Ay, ay, ay. And Stats, he's snowballing out of control. That was a disastrous fight for Su. Pushed on forward. There was a window here where he could have made something happen, but alas, was a little bit too cavalier with his army. I was talking about the dance, right? Like with your Broodlords, it's a delicate dance to kind of like bounce back and forth, to kite back and forth, but we just committed. We committed, and we died. And now Stats is in the driver's seat. 100%, he's in the driver's seat. He's made his way into carriers. We have Su back at home, who's trying to build up a corruptor army. Remember, these are 0/0 corruptors. The carriers have been revealed. Now, there's only 3 of them, just like last time. Really, it's about the ground army. Now, thankfully, there's no Archons. Archons would make this a little more difficult to engage with the Ling Bane. Speaking of Banelings, they try to roll in. And speaking of Archons, they're defending. That's what they are. I was like, I could have sworn I saw some Archons earlier. Yeah, they're here towards the northern portion of the map. We'll be holding on. Here we go. Stats is pushing right through the center as well. We have a big lane counterattack here. We should be able to break this base, but the Archons are not too far behind, and they will be able to turn back around to defend. Likewise, Stats turns around as well. Is going to be losing a lot of probes, but it's going to cost Stats. Sorry, it's going to cost Su almost everything. But he's buying time. There we go. +3 attack is finishing up, and that will help the Broodlings as well. Corruptor count is getting higher. How many Broodlords do we have? We are up to 9 Broodlords at this point. Lane counterattack, going to try to force Stats back. Yeah, Lane run by, gets into the middle line, forces Stats back for a second time. We're buying a lot of time here. We are buying a lot of time. Su is remaxing. He has a chance. Let's go. Infestors are on the way. Let's go, Papi. So basically, especially because Stats has been heavily reliant on these Stalkers, we need to fungal those Stalkers. We need to lock them down, not allow them to blink, to help protect these Broodlords and to help lock them down. But on top of that, we still have a lot of carriers. Far more than last time. 6 carriers are out. Ay, ay, ay. So this is still a terrifying army. We do not have Neural. Otherwise, Neural on Immortals could have been a thing. Or even on the carriers. Baling Rumbai is going to be rolling on forward. Stats, he wants to commit. He's been trying to. Bailings, they do not get into the mineral line. Stats is on creep. Su's aware. Rotating over. Investing heavily here into these Corruptors. 13 more Corruptors on the way. He should have plenty of anti-air. How many Broodlords? 9. We could do with a couple more Broodlords. 9 is cutting it close. Likewise, we only have 3 Infestors as well. These are some very, very important Infestors for Su. We have to babysit them hard. Do you have to preserve them? You have to keep them alive. Okay, Bailings are going to be on the way. The armies are soon to clash. Stats does have eyes on this. He's going to be cutting back again, luring these Broodlords out into the open off of creep. 1 High Templar goes down. Big Storms, 2nd High Templar, 3rd High Templar. Oh, the High Templar, they're falling. Every High Templar does go down, but big Storms in the army. We don't kill the Broodlords, but look at how low they are, and we do force a recall. All the carriers do escape. We leave 1 Immortal back home. But you can see the Storms, they just, oh my god. They tore their way through these Broodlords, but they survived. And we can transfuse. Speaking of, there we go. We pull back to the Queens. We top them back up. Transfuse coming in clutch. Now back at home, Stats, he did rebuild those High Templar. He just warped in 4. Soon to be 6 High Templar. We have a bit of an Archon counterattack being set up here. Su not quite investing into his upgrades. He has +1 air attack, but only +1. Does have plenty of Corruptors. Arguably too many. I do think we could do with a couple more Broodlords. Regardless, the army has been spotted. There's going to be 2 forces here, 4 Stats. Bailings have to back off. And here we go. This time, Su looking to fight on creep. Yeah, Stats, he has to be careful. Does have to be careful not to overextend. Stats, he is getting ahead economically. He has another fresh mining base. Base that has been left untouched. Su hyperfixated on this army. Oh! Takes down another High Templar. Storm just grazing. These Stalkers getting very bold here. They want them. Oh, they get 1 Brood. Oh, not too sure if that was worth it. They get a 2nd Broodlord. Big feedbacks as well on the Infestors. But the Corruptors are going hand. They're chasing this down. Because we lost all the Stalkers, there's no anti-air. And every carrier is falling. No Stalkers. Where are the Archons? The Archons are out on the map as well. We needed them back at home. Big Fungal. Again, Stats' army is disjointed. We needed these Archons here to help zone away the Corruptors. And now they're coming back. Uh-oh. I say they're coming back. They're getting caught out. The Archons. 1 falls. There's 3 left. Su is picking Stats apart. Stats, he's down to 2 carriers remaining. He is making 3 more behind this. We have more Infestors on the way. And yeah, once again, these Archons, they're being ambitious here. Another one goes down. Stats rotating towards the left-hand side. It looks like he is looking to shut down this gold base, and he will. Spine Crawlers are too late. The army of Su a little bit too immobile. This base is going to go down, but I believe Recall is on cooldown. We go for the Infestor. We get one. Oh, but it's costing us a lot of Stalkers. I don't think that was worth it. We catch the carriers as well. Some decent feedbacks. We catch the High Templar. No, not again. 2 more High Templar. 3. We get a 4. We get a 4th. We get 5. Barely not. But a good trade here. We force a recall. 1 High Templar gets left behind. Stats being a little bit too cavalier with his pushes here. Gets caught out. Big punish. At the same time, Su getting ready for a counterattack. He needs to deny the space. He needs to stop the space from mining. Otherwise, stats, he's remaxing. Like, again, stats, he can afford these losses. Because of his bank. Su has to do something about the economy. The Archons are overextending. We should be able to get the surround. Yeah, the Archons will fall. Big pick up here for Su. Bailey's going to be rolling on in. They take down the cannons. They don't quite get into the mineral line, but the Lings are going ham. Again, these are cracklings, +3 attack, +3 melee Lings. They burn through the cannons. They have to be rebuilt. Meanwhile, the Broodlord count getting higher. There goes Su pushing forward. Trying to catch more of these Archons. Decent fungal here on the Stalkers. And the Stalkers, they take a lot of damage. It looks like they're going to get one of those Broodlords. Archons, they come in from behind. Stalkers as well. We dive on the Broodlords. The Stalkers, they dive on in. Decent fungal, but it looks like the Broodlords are going to be focused down. A big pick off. The Broodlord count gets reset, but the Corruptors are going ham. And they're focusing down every one of these carriers. Some big Archon shots. But what about the ground army? Su, we need to remax? Su. 1 carrier survives, and we need to remax very quickly here. 60 Lings are on the way. But stats, he's maxed out. And even though Su has a bank, where are the reinforcements? Where are the reinforcements here? Su, he is a little bit lacking when it comes to his macro. 12 Broodlords are on the way. Su, he has a bank, but a base does fall. Broodlords are in production. Oh, we do catch some High Templar. Okay, stats kills a base. Su's going to be able to rebuild. Massive link counter taking towards the top right. It looks like we should shut down this Nexus. Or do we force a recall? We do have a recall in the end. We dive on top of the Broodlords. Again, the Broodlords are exposed. They cannot protect themselves. Not like this. And this is going to be a massive pick off. Yeah, we dive on top of the Broodlords. Ay, ay, ay. The Archons are stuck. They're stuck behind the Immortals. But regardless, every single Broodlord is going to be going down. We do kill top right, but as you can see here, like Broodlords on their own, they just die. They cannot support themselves. The Broodlords all fall. That was 12 Broodlords, by the way. They went down to like 10 Stalkers. Ay, ay, ay. Meanwhile, top right is saved. The Lings, they killed the workers, yes, but they did not kill the base. Stats has a bank. Su does not. Su, he's running out of steam, running out of money. Just 2 inefficient trades. GG gets called. And Stats will take the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Stats here for taking the series in the end, for taking the 2-0. And my condolences to Su. Su, he had his moments, and especially game 1. I do think that game 1, Su was in a commanding position. He was in a leading position in game 1, but it did slip through his fingers. When it came to game number 2, it was more back and forth here, and unfortunately, Su wasn't able to really stifle the economy of Stats. And likewise, there were a couple of fights where Su overextended and when he lost his Broodlords. Remember, the first fight with the Broodlords here in Game 2, Su lost everything. He lost all the Broodlords in his push to the Storms and to the Stalkers. To the Stalkers, and so we saw that a couple too many times. They're expensive losses for Su, and with that, we're now going to be getting into... We're going to be following Stats into his next series. GG. Stats for Su. What year is it? True, true. Ah, the legends themselves. I feel like one of the likeliest people to would have done so would have been Clem. Maybe. Clem is also a degen. Clem is like Max Pax, where he also stays up late into the night and he doesn't wake up early. So don't forget that. It's Clem and Max Pax. They're the two players that very often are on that degen sleep schedule, and they're more than happy to stay up until very late hours to compete. I guess if you're referring to like having access to PCs in DreamHack Atlanta, well, the venue has ended, so they don't have access to those PCs, unfortunately, from my understanding. They would have to go to like a PC cafe. I don't know how common or popular PC bangs or PC cafes are in the Americas, but that would have been like the only shot. And even then, I don't know, you'd have to have like a 24-hour PC cafe because it is very late in America. So yeah, it's or like have someone lend you their PC with like StarCraft on it. Like it would have been, yeah, GG. Does anyone know if Rogue plans on making a comeback after military? I don't think he's been vocal about it, so we are uncertain. There are some Koreans that have confirmed that they are going to be playing after military. That is true, but when it comes to Rogue, Rogue was never really too active on SNS or social media, so I don't think we know. When it comes to Rogue. Otherwise, we are going to be refreshing our brackets. Gotta message some players, let them know. Let us go. Stats, he advances on here into the next round, and he's going to be going up against the Chinese Terran player, Coffee. Oh, I'm ready for it. Here we go. And I'll be honest, I do rate Coffee higher than Su at the moment. I do think that the Coffee does pose a greater threat to Stats here. Would I even favor Coffee? Ooh, that's a tough one. I think it's close. I think it's close between these two players. So I'm hoping for an ace match. I'm hoping for a game 3. I'm hoping this can go the distance as we get ready for our next game. As we get ready for our next series, our semifinals. Here we go. I'm just getting those predictions ready. Un momento here, and spawning. Spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the Chinese Terran player, the Red Terran, representing Team Little Fairy. It is Coffee. The second best Terran player in China, second only to Oliveira, the world champion. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the returning ex-military Protoss, the blue Protoss representing the Kwangdong Freaks. It is Stats. And if you are in the chat, predictions are open, so place your bets on who you think is going to advance on to the grand finals. Do you have faith in the Stats, or do you want some of that coffee? Let's go. Predictions open. Here we go. They work the night shift. They do. That's referring to Max and Clem. That is true. That is true. As for now, Stats is going to be moving out here. Just checking for proxies, checking here at his linear third base, his triangular third, his fourth base location as well. So Stats just being very wary here, and I think this is a wise choice. Coffee is not the most standard of players. Not saying he's cheesy, but he's very unique and very unorthodox. He's kind of a trendsetter in a way where he does at times come up with his own builds, and they can catch on amongst the rest of the scene, the rest of the meta, if you will. We have seen times where Coffee builds have been adopted by players like Beyond, players like Maru, players like Cure. Coffee is more of an innovator in that sense. So I'm always excited to catch me some of that Coffee. And he's been doing very well. He's been doing very well this year. I believe in ESL Masters Summer, Coffee came second to Oliveira overall in the Asia region. I think in the winter season he got top 4, if I'm not mistaken. I remember Firefly made it to the finals. And I think it was Cyan who made it 3rd. I think it was Coffee 4th, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, Coffee has been, again, really having a bit of a resurgence here in 2023. And we'll see if he can bring it here to Stats. So far, the Reaper is going to be dipping in between the bases. Behind this, it was a Rax expand initially here into our second gas, guys. We do have the starport on the way. CC going to be finishing up. Sorry, I said Rax expand. I think it was a double gas opener. My apologies. It was double gas opener, which is why we already have Hellions on the way. So more of an aggressive build here from Coffee. Back at home Stats, his tech of choice is going to be a Twilight Council, not a Stargate. This should be for Blink from our Protoss player. I said should be for Blink. There are some Protoss players that mix in Dark Shrine openers in this matchup, but I don't think Stats is the kind of player to meddle too much with DTs. Not against Terran. Maybe later on in the late game, but this early on should be Blink. 2 gates on the way, 1 is already done. It's going to be 3-gate Blink. For now, we'll keep an eye on things to see if he throws down a 4th gateway. But 3-gate Blink should eventually lead into an expansion. Meanwhile, Hellions are moving out. Stats has some pretty good SimCity here on the low ground. He has a Sentry as well. Hallucination Scout comes in. He does confirm the 111. He confirms the Tech Lab researching. He's aware of those Cloak Banshees. Meanwhile, the Hellions, they dive in, they ignore the army, they take down the Sentry, they go right for the mineral line. It takes 3 Hellions to one-shot a probe, and probes are burning down. Oh my god, we're roasting them, and we get 5 so far. Can we get more? The body blocking. Body blocking a little bit too good. Only 5 workers here. Could have been so much worse. But we also got a scout off. We confirmed the Twilight Council, we started researching. We did get eyes on the gateway count as well. 3 gates, which means Coffee knows that his opponent is expanding and won't be committing too hard to the counterattack. And there's that 3rd. 3rd is on the way. Looking at the unit salt stab here, it was 4 Hellions and 1 Reaper for 5 probes and 1 Sentry. Again, I'm sure Coffee was hoping for more damage. I'm sure he was hoping for more, but did well for himself just because Hellions do not scale well into the late game or into the mid game. They don't really scale well at all. Banshee has arrived. Cloak is done. We don't have detection, not yet. Robo is still on the way. We can make some magic happen here. We do have some shield batteries, at least at the natural. But Stats has no way to detect. Coffee though, waiting for his second Banshee. The reason for this, for those who may be unaware, is that the shield battery does protect your mineral line, but 2 Banshees one-shot workers. So if you line up the shots, even if there's a shield battery, even if there's an overcharge, it won't protect the mineral line. It will not protect these workers. So bit of a risky maneuver here. As we wait a little bit longer, here we go. We do activate the cloak. We go actually for the sentries, but we do get within range of that shield battery. And we don't commit here. Again, I feel like there was a lot of potential. So much potential for this to deal damage. 0 detection. Observers still on the way. But Coffee playing this out very safely. Meanwhile, he does push out with his tanks. Gets within range of that 3rd base. Forces a cancel. Yeah, and he should get a kill. There's no way for Stats to really keep up with this. He's going to try to engage. Take some tank shots to the face. That's going to be a kill on the Nexus. Even though we didn't eviscerate the mineral line, which I 100% believe we could have done, there's still good damage being done. We dive on top of the Stalkers as well. The tanks are getting within range. And Coffee snowballing out of control. Stats trying to take another Nexus. Stalkers are falling. Against Stats, he was missing warp ins. He didn't really have enough Stalkers here to defend. The Artosis pylon goes down. We depower everything. We're denied charge. We deny the robo production. We dive on top of the tanks, but Coffee snowballing out of control. GG gets called. And Coffee takes game number 1. Whew. GG. Again, very crisp here. And this is why I did favor Coffee coming into this. But I'm hoping we get an ace match. I'm hoping that Stats can fight back. When it came to that build of Coffee, again, it got scouted, detection was delayed, but to be fair, the Banshees weren't really the most threatening thing there. It was the tank push. This wasn't an all-in. Behind this, Stim was on the way, +1 was on the way, we were getting into additional production. You know, Coffee was working on that next step. Stats, despite going for a 3-gate opener, with 3 gateways you usually have a more robust army, and you're usually very active on the map. But because he saw the Banshee opener, Stats stayed at home. He wasn't active with his Stalkers like you usually are. Usually you want to be parked outside the natural of the opponent just so you can get eyes on any move out, pick it apart, chip away at it, blink back, kite it all the way back home. But Stats was a little bit distracted. Stats, he was just, yeah, a little bit preoccupied, a little bit too distracted by what he had scouted, and as a result he was pulled apart. GG, well played. Coffee takes a lead. And now we're getting into game number 2, and spawning in the top left hand corner of side Delta, we have the red Terran player representing Team Little Fairy. It is Coffee. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player representing the Kwangdong Freaks, looking to fight back, looking to force the ace match. It is Stats. Light said put the house on Coffee. That's not what I said. I said ace match. Ay, ay, ay. Este Rowdy. Coffee's game is keeping me up late tonight. I should know not to watch his games past 5 p.m. Oh no. Not the Coffee at 5 p.m. Take care of yourselves, everyone. Take care. Drink plenty of water, hydrate yourselves. Be careful when you indulge in some coffee action. Be very careful. It's dangerous. It'll keep you up at night. Patience also serving. Yes, I love Patience. Patience, unironically, my favorite Protoss. Unironically, my favorite Protoss player. Not just Korean Protoss, just period. I love me some Patience. Meanwhile, behind this, we are getting to our standard opener. Stats being very vigilant when it comes to scouting. He checks his linear third, checks his triangular third, making sure that there is no proxy. Making sure that there's nothing on the up and up. And back at home, Coffee going for a Rax Expand. A very economic opener this time. Rax Expand, single gas opener from our Chinese Terran player, going straight into that factory behind this. Very important to take note of this as well. He's not going for a 3 racks. Going for the second gas geyser into a what seems to be a 1-1-1. Seems to be. Here we go. Reaper is moving out. Stats are getting set up. Getting a safety shield battery. I do appreciate this. This time we're going for a sentry opener from Stats. Those that are curious, especially with the damage point change at the start of the year, sentry openers are a lot more viable because you can kite against the Reaper very well. And the power of a sentry opener is the hallucination. Is you're able to scout across the map to get a read on the build of choice, to get a read on something like a 3 racks or a 3-1-1, or any kind of unorthodox play, any kind of hidden tech. So yeah, Stats just playing very safely here, and this time he's not going into Blink, this time he's going into Stargate. Is going to be a Stargate opener here from Stats. Should be for Oracles initially, but we could just go straight into Phoenixes. We have a couple of options here for Stats with how aggressive he wants to be, or defensive. Behind this, just a standard opener. It's going to be 1-1-1 into a Mind Drop. So the goal here of this opener from Coffee is to scout. Very similar to the Sentry opener, where the Sentry has a hallucination to get across the map and to get an eye on what the Terran is doing. Likewise, with this Widowmine drop, we can invest. We can go up to 2-3 Widowmines if we really want to. Hallucination comes in, does get eyes on everything. But this drop is designed to, one, maybe get some damage, but the purpose really is to get eyes on the tank and to get eyes on the build. There we go, the drop is moving out, is spotted by the hallucination, and Stats can reposition back at home. He's aware of the mine drop. There we go, Phoenixes are in production. No oracles, just pure Phoenix here from Stats. Phoenixes are amassing. We do have a decent gateway count to support this as well, going for a robo. Now, this should be a robo into a robotic spay. We can go one of two ways. We can go Phoenix Colossus or Phoenix Charge. Both are viable. Both have their place. But the kind of player that Stats is, I imagine he's going to be going for a robotic spay for Colossus production. And once we get into the mid game. Meanwhile, here comes that drop. I love that he was faking out a drop towards the main. So Stats is a bit out of position. The drop does pivot away, goes towards the natural instead. We're waiting for the boost. Waiting for the opportune moment. Phoenixes are moving in. Stats is going to be checking. No! He checks. He does come across the medevac. A big scout here. Big pickoff. We do drop into the mineral line. Medevac does, of course, confirm the Stargate play. And the Widowmites will not go off. We also confirm the third. So Coffee, he is now aware of the Phoenixes. He also saw the robotic spay as it was thrown down, so he's aware that Colossi are on the way, but he's also aware that the ground army is lacking, and we're pushing out. We are pushing out here. Behind this, we're getting into a 3-1-1 setup, which is a standard setup on 2 bases. We went straight into tank production after the first couple of Widow Mines. Now we are pushing. Again, no blink on these Stalkers, no overcharge. There is a shield battery on the way, but the Nexus isn't done yet. Now we have to protect these tanks. As the Phoenixes, they catch some reinforcements. Tanks are repositioning. They should be. Phoenixes are coming back. And they're going for that Liberator again. Coffee has to babysit his siege units here. But it looks like he should deny this third. Yeah, massive tank volleys go off on the Immortal. Shield battery is done, but we focus on one of those Phoenix. A Phoenix for a Liberator. Behind this stim, a +1 combat chills on the way, 3rd CC as well. And this base is gonna fall. Big pick off here from Coffee. He's bleeding out a tank. Nice pick off from Stats. He is, you know, trading, but not worth losing an entire Nexus. Meanwhile, Liberator goes into the main. Phoenix is out of position. Uh-oh, that Lib, it's gonna get damage done. The Phoenixes, they get left idle. 1 Phoenix goes down. And Coffee pulling Stats apart. That's 7 dead workers, 8 dead probes in the main base. And so far, Coffee doing a good job at preserving his units. He does siege. And Stats, is he looking? Big tank shots. The Stalkers are going down. Stats, he's bleeding out far too much. Being pulled apart, he loses 8 workers across the map, loses his main army. We have a handful of Phoenixes left over. Stim still is not done. We can't really chase this down. These Phoenixes, they're trading well. But Stats, he's down to 1 Immortal, 2 Stalkers. We go for the scam. We get eyes on the would-be third. Coffee still preserving those tanks as well. They're like his firstborns. We protect them, Poppy. We protect them. And Coffee does rotate back around. These Phoenixes are keeping him pinned back at home for now. That can be the production. Oh, the Widowmine shot. The mine! Up! Ooh, a big connection. 2 Phoenixes go down. Oh my god, the setup. The setup, the bait from Coffee. The Marines are in position. He catches the Phoenixes. This time Stim is done. We're down to a single Phoenix remaining. We try to catch a medevac, but alas, we zone Stats away. And Stats is in a lot of trouble here. He does have Colossi. He has access to Colossus production. This is gonna help, don't get me wrong. It is going to help, but he's been bleeding out too much. Looking at the unit loss tab here, he lost all of his Phoenixes, lost his Immortals, the base, Stalkers, probes. Stats, he is trying to tread water here. He's trying to keep up, trying to survive. He could maybe defend against a frontal assault, but Coffee, with the supply advantage, is going for some drops. He's going for a main push to distract Stats and going for the drop into the main. Ideally, one of these gets damage done, maybe both. Drop goes in, Stats, he reacts, he recalls! He recalls to the main, and that means that the 3rd base is exposed, and Coffee is going for another base kill. Aye, aye, aye. Yeah, he goes right for it. Tank siege up, Widowmites as well. GG gets called, and Coffee will take the 2-0, advancing on to the grand finals. GG. GG, well played. Coffee coming in hot here again. Coming into this, again, I did rate him a little bit higher than Su, and I didn't want to admit it, but he is more informed than Stats at the moment, and yeah, looking damn powerful. You know, saying that he is top 2 Terran in China, that actually means something nowadays. A lot of the Chinese players are actually competing and actually taking down a lot of the Koreans. I'm talking about not just Oliveira, Coffee, Firefly, Jeshi, Cyan. These big name Chinese players, they do take down the Koreans on a regular nowadays, and at least a lot of the like mid-tier or even some of the high-tier Koreans as well. And they do pose a threat. GG, Coffee advances on. Congratulations. And we will just let them know from here. We do have to take a moment here to have a look at the bracket itself to get a read on what has been going on and any other updates that have been coming in as well. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves as we switch our scenes over and try to get a read on what has been going on here. And here we go. From the top, of course, Coffee took down Close 2-0, took down Stats 2-0 as well. Coffee is going to be in the grand finals, and he's lying in wait, waiting for either Jeshi or Nice. Nice 2-0-4, Jeshi 2-1 Hon Mono. Very impressive results here. And there's a PvP that is currently ongoing in that lower semifinals. I mentioned Jeshi earlier. Again, Jeshi, one of the strongest Protoss players in China. I think I would rate Firefly a little bit higher. Rate Firefly a little bit higher, but they're pretty comparable here in general. Nice, of course, the best player in all of Taiwan, has for quite some time overcome and superseded Haas. So it's going to be a TVP finals between Coffee and either Jeshi or Nice. Who's it going to be, though? That's the question. That is the question, as I quickly double check, and it looks like Jeshi and Nice are out of game. I don't know the score, though. I don't know what's been going on between them. I'm not too sure what the outcome is. So we're just going to be waiting for some updates, and then we will either jump into the semifinals or jump into the grand finals. One or the other. Here we go. He just came back from his military service. He came back at the start of the year. Stats has been back. Stats has been back for a year at this point. And he has been looking to improve. When it comes to the returned military players, when it comes to basically the Kwangdong players, I do think that Stats is maybe the highest rated among them. If you're curious who I'm talking about players like Stats, Su, TY, Keen, Alive, and Armani. Those 6 players. When it comes to the Kwangdong players, I think Stats is rated the highest among them. I think it's close between Stats and TY. I think it's very close between the two of them. I think you could go one way or the other. Of course, TY, for those curious, also came back and has also been competing. So I think they're pretty comparable in skill. But they, compared to all the players that have stayed competing, and even Hero and Classic, who came back, you know, a year ago, last year, I should say, they're still, you know, lacking a little bit behind. You know, I would rate Nightmare higher than them. DRG as well. DRG is a returning military player, to be fair, but DRG, of course, Hero, Classic, and many of the others. But a big reason for this, a lot of people need this for some context, need to bear this in mind, is that the players that I mentioned, the list of the Kwangdong players, they're all part-time. Like, none of them are full-time. Like, TY, Stats, they're not full-time pro gamers anymore. Su isn't full-time. Armani, Keen, Alive, they're not full-time either. So they're not dedicating as much time to competing and improving, which is why, even though they've been back for a year, they're not quite at the level that they used to be. And I'll be honest, it's a bit of a brutal truth. I don't know if they ever will be back to the level that they used to be. Just because, again, you know, they've all got IRL jobs. Like they've all since since gotten like IRL jobs, and they've got other commitments in their IRL lives nowadays. They're not full time. This is known. This is widely known. But if you're maybe not watching these ESL weeklies or WTL, then maybe you wouldn't be aware. But yeah, they aren't committed like Hero and Classic, for example, or Dark, or like the DKZ players or the onside players like Solar and Maru. They're not full time. Like SOS as well. SOS has like a job. Like he's just a part-time pro gamer, which is a little bit sad, a little bit unfortunate, but you know, that's his the state of things. The state of things. But with that, Sanovic, Aishi, maybe, yeah. I do think the three of them they're close. They're all good, Jabab. They're all good. But now, though, we're going to be going on a short break. We have to pay out predictions, but we're going to be going on a break. When we return, we will be back with our next series. See you soon. Cut. Waiting for the break. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the grand finals. The finals of ESL Open Cup Asia number 206. And it's been quite an event so far here. A bit of a different one as well. For those that are curious, most of the Korean pro gamers have been traveling due to DreamHack Atlanta, which concluded less than 24 hours ago. So they are actually still either traveling or still abroad. They are not available to compete tonight, which means we have a very unique finals. Let's go. We're diving into this. If you're in the chat, predictions are open. Place your bets on how you think this finals will unfold. Will it go the way of the Terran or the way of the Protoss? Predictions open. Yeah, there you go. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alkione, we have the red Terran player from the land of China representing Team Little Fairy. It is Coffee. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the purple Protoss representing CranKy Z Gaming, DKZ. It is Jeshi. Here we go, Jeshi versus Coffee. Oh boy, we had a little bit of an unlikely finals here again due to some other players not being available, which means ESL Asia, not just Asia, but Europe and Americas is up for grabs for anyone who didn't travel to win it all. Now, we spoke about this in the chat earlier, but again, the big one for Europe and Americas is Maxpax, because he doesn't travel to offline events, and he is the best Protoss player in all of Europe, and one of the best in the world. He should be there for EU and for Americas, so there's going to be a big heavy hitter that other players are going to have to try to bring down. But here for Asia, again, there was no clear favorite, which means it's more of like a Wild West out here. This could go either direction. Coming into this, as a reminder, it's a best of five finals. I do favor Coffee, but Jeshi is a very powerful opponent here. You know, I was praising some of the Protoss players from the land of China earlier. Players like Jeshi, players like Firefly, players like Cyan, they are all amazing. They've all leveled up over the past year. They've all been improving, and they've all been getting some really damn good results in 2023. But so is Coffee. That's the thing. So is Coffee. Coffee has also been improving, so this is going to be a little bit hard to call. I do expect this to be back and forth. I know we've been getting a lot of 2-0s. We've been getting a lot of 2-0s here on stream, a lot of 2-0s. I mean, Eastos did take a game off of Su, but I want to believe that this is going to be more of a back and forth, and we're going to have a series out of this. Meanwhile, we have our tech of choice. It's going to be a Twilight Council opener here from Jeshi. Meanwhile, behind this, Coffee is going for a Rax Expand economic opener from our Terran player. Single gas opener, then later into the factory and second gas. This looks like a proxy starport as well. Once the factory finishes, we're going to be going for the add-on swap, going for reactored Hellions. And there's that starport being proxied on the right-hand side. It's a very common proxy location because of the layout of Alkione, of this specific map. It's like Golden Wall, for those of you that were here a couple of years ago in the map pool, where it's completely walled off by rocks and by mineral patches, so it is actually sometimes a little bit difficult to actually get a read on any kind of proxy on this half of the map. So this should be a medevac to go for a Hellion drop into the main. This could also be a Liberator for Hellions to harass the natural and a Liberator to harass the main base. Regardless, aggression is upon us, and Jeshi is still piecing it together. He saw the CC done on the low ground, so he's aware of the economic opener. He's also aware of the Hellions. That's a bit of a tell. We have, yep, SimCity. SimCity is being set up. Because of those Hellions, Jeshi is going to be completely walling off here on the low ground. But the problem is that we're not pushing through the low ground. We're not pushing into the natural. We're going straight into the main base instead. Probe is moving out for a bit of scouting information, or to take a third base. My apologies. It is going to be quite an economic opener. It's going to be a 2-gate into a third. So 2-gate blink into a third base, a very economic opener here from Jeshi, which means he has very little fighting units, very little units to defend, very little army units. And here we go. Hellion drop into the main base, and Jeshi sees nothing, knows nothing. The Hellions, they go right in. Oh, and they can one-shot probes. The mineral line is under threat here. Boys are being pulled to try to slow them down. 8 probes go down already. We get 8, we get 9. Oh, we're gonna get that. We're gonna get far more than that. 11 workers who drop 3 of them into the natural once again. The Hellions, they're not done. They want more. They're gonna get it. 12 workers. Can we get a 13? We can. 100% we can. We go for another couple of volleys here in the main base. We get 13. We get 14. They line up. The probes line up. 17 workers go down. for the price of 4 Hellions and 1 medevac. Well worth it here for Coffee. Again, Jeshi happened to be going for a very economic opener, going 2 gates into that third base, and he just was out of position. He was expecting Hellions here at the front door, not expecting Hellions here on the right-hand side. Blink finished a little bit too late, and now Jeshi, he's behind. When behind, Dark Shrine. The Dark Shrine is on the way. Makes plenty of sense here to try to come back. Stalkers are going for a counterattack, but we have a tank back at home. We may not have a bunker, but the tank is more than enough to defend. We have a tank on the low ground. We can even set up a tank on the high ground as well. Blink does mean that we can be a little bit more maneuverable, but again, it's only 2-gate Blink. We don't have a War Prism. We don't really have much else to be too aggressive. Oh, Stalkers get caught out. Liberator into the main base, but we do have Jeshi in position to zone them away. We're going to be able to chip away at these Marines. Remember, there is no stim. No stim here for Coffee. So he has to be very careful with how he maneuvers with those Marines. Has to babysit them. Good juggling. Oh, good. Coffee, calm down. Liberator repositions towards the third instead, and Coffee is go here to shut down this third base. The tanks are getting within range, Marines as well, and we cannot touch this. But here comes the DTs. Dark Shrine is done. DT into the main. Jeshi may be losing a Nexus, but he gets into the mineral line probes. SCVs are going down. The Nexus will fall. We go for a scan. A little bit preemptive here from Coffee. Oh, which is dangerous because we don't have any scans. Can we deny stim? No, we shouldn't be able to. We're still 5 seconds away. 4. And stim, it will finish in time. At the same time, Coffee's going to be pushing. He does have stim available. We do have 1 Dark Templar being warped in. It is warped in here on the front lines. We do have the overcharge, and the DT's going ham. The pylon goes down. We depower most of the production, but we do force a pick up. We have a scan back at home. Dark Templar goes down, and Coffee is defending back at home. He's racing back home. So we have we have a Raven in the center of the map. The Raven will help, to be fair. Very interesting location for that starport. It was like halfway. It was halfway home, but we needed that Raven sooner rather than later. Really nice adaptation actually here from Coffee. Not waiting for his starport to make it back home. He needs that Raven ASAP. Now Jeshi did defend just barely with those DTs. He's looking to harass once again. We do have a scan. Oh, we do have a scan available. We don't want to waste it. As we pull back to the safety of that missile turret. Raven rocks up, but we have another DT here on the low ground. 4 more SCVs go down as the dust does settle. This has been some good counter damage, and again, Jeshi did survive, but I will say that Coffee is still ahead. Coffee, he is slightly behind in workers, but he has an orbital already done, so he's making 3 workers at a time, and he can mule. There it is. Now that he has a Raven, he can afford to mule as well. So he does have the better economy. Soon to have a third base up and running. Viking does arrive, shuts down the Prism, and the Nexus is still in production for Jeshi. We go for the scan. This reveals, now Coffee knows, the base isn't here. It must be the linear third instead. And he's pushing. Now, his army is battered and bruised. I'm not too sure how I feel about this. We're moving out before we actually repair these tanks. And we're pushing into an Immortal, we're pushing into some Blink Stalkers. Risky maneuver here from Coffee, but he has the Raven. He has an Interference Matrix or an anti-armor missile, even auto turrets. He still has potential, and he should be able to keep this tank alive. There we go, auto turrets. Now we dive on top of the tanks. Big move here from Jeshi. Takes down 2 of those tanks. Can he get the final tank? It looks like he barely will. The tank will fall. Again, if they were on full HP, maybe we could have kept on pushing. Maybe we could have broken this, but it may just be too much anyway. Coffee sims on forward. Gets on top of the third base. Gets into the mineral line. DTs are coming in, but we have detection. We have the Raven. Shield battery goes down, and so many probes are falling. That's going to be 11 dead probes. We're just rallying everything across the map. Winter mines are burrowing. How good are the Blinks? Pretty good. Pretty damn good. We focus on the Raven. Big pick off. Jeshi will survive, but he lost 11 workers in the process, and he still is at an economic deficit after this fight. Behind this behind this Coffee, getting his third base up and running. It is going to be up and running here. Widow mines are amassing. Medevacs are on the way for some drop play as well. Now Coffee's tank count was reset, which is a little bit concerning, but again, he can be active with these medevacs. Meanwhile, DT drop actually. Oh, he's coming in. We do have the stim. Oh, can we catch the prism? Oh, the DT does not escape. Will go down. The prism does manage to wedge itself here in between the bases. I believe there is no Viking. Yeah, the Viking went down earlier as it was using the attack. The prism does siege safely here in the dead zone, in the dead space, and the game is going to settle. Now, Jeshi's still building up his worker count, but now he has a fourth. Now we can make 4 probes at a time. He is recovering economically. Scan does take down another Dark Templar. Colossus count is getting higher and higher. Do we have Extendable Lance? We do not. We do not have Colossus range. That is a bit of an oversight, and hopefully we do correct that soon. Jeshi is going to need it. He has Colossi, but as you can see, his ground army is lacking because of the trades, because of the losses, as the Prism is recalled back home. But because of the trades, Jeshi, he hasn't been able to build up a ground army. He lost his Immortal earlier as well. And again, I hope that he realizes he doesn't have range, as it still has not started. At the same time, Mindrill comes in. We do manage to escape in time, though. Good reaction out of Jeshi, losing 2 probes so far. And losing nothing here in the natural. Good cleanup. We scan the 4th, we get eyes on the army, as well as the saturation. Coffee, upon seeing the army at the 4th base, he goes for the 3rd instead. We do have some stack defense, but nothing else in position. And Jeshi, he has no map vision, no map control. We dive on top of this Nexus, and can we shut it down? It looks like we can. We focus down the Nexus, and we just have too much DPS. The mine shots gonna be going off as well on the Zealots. And Coffee's gonna get the hell out of there at the same time. Oh, it looks like we had some Liberator harass going on. Jeshi does clean it up for the most part. Oh. Yeah, will shut it down. Trades a Stalker for a Lib. But Coffee sniping that base, he maintains his economic lead. The Prism is still there. Barely goes by unnoticed. And throughout all this, Coffee taking a 4th base, getting into Viking production. Liberators, Ghosts as well. His tech, his composition is just on point, and Jeshi is 1 step behind. I say 1, he's 2 steps behind. He's behind when it comes to his economy, behind when it comes to his tech as well. His army, I should say. Still no range, he's getting into Disruptor production. Because he's still only on 3 bases, he doesn't have the economy to sustain double robot production. Otherwise, we would be making 2 Disruptors at a time. But he doesn't have that base up and running. He can't afford it. Just cannot afford it. DT coming in once again. These Dark Templar, they are keeping Coffee busy. They are keeping him busy for the time being. +1 ship weapons on the way. 2-2 as well. Jeshi is going to be pushing on the right-hand side. Coffee does have a sensor tower, but he's not quite in position. Jeshi, he has potential with this army, but he only has 1 disruptor, so I'm a little bit concerned. He also doesn't have range, which means the army itself from Coffee is going to be able to trade that much better against this army. Base trade? No, we pull back. I'm like, did we commit to the attack? No. We're going to be pulling back instead, but Coffee is out of position, which means Jeshi can push on forward towards his 3rd base. There's a bunker. Tower goes down. The Vikings, they do arrive. Never gets up. Oh, big connection. Coffee a little bit distracted by his own drop as he's pushing across the map, and we do see Jeshi committing. The boys are being pulled. And can he pull this off? The Vikings, they're going in. They take down 1 Colossus. They take down a 2nd Colossus as well. But the ground army is breaking through. And Coffee is losing too much. Going for the base trade here. Not the call to make. Also, unfortunate taking that Nova to the face. And Jeshi, it looks like he has done it. He takes down the 3rd, and he can push towards the natural. Coffee, he has an army across the map, but he takes another Nova to the face. No! Coffee losing everything. He had such a good start this game. Had momentum. But in 1 fell swoop, in 1 attack, in 1 push, Jeshi, he was able to take it, able to come out on top. Decent EMPs, but GG gets called, and Jeshi will take game number 1. Whew. GG. And again, Coffee, he did have the army to defend, but he was out of position, and he did decide to counterattack while defending at the same time. He believed that he had enough to hold on and to push. CranKy misjudged the situation. He did misjudge the situation a little bit there. Otherwise, he would have either sent everything to counterattack or sent everything to defend. He believed he could do both, when either one of those other options would have been a little bit better in that scenario. Again, just not respecting the army enough. Didn't help as well that, again, Novas, they were connecting left and right. And Jeshi, able to take a lead in this series. Let's go. Let us go. Catching up with the chat. The best in the world. Arguably the best in the world. Planes got Wi-Fi these days. Gaming can't stop, won't stop. Imagine playing in an ESL Open Cup while on a plane. That would be beautiful. That'd be amazing. Oh. Some people have suggested that a MaxFax doesn't go offline because of social anxiety issues. Maybe, or maybe he just doesn't like to, you know, go out into like, yeah, into the open like that. It's like it's fine. It's fine. At the end of the day, it is MaxFax's choice, and whether it's anxiety or maybe again he just prefers not to travel, not to go abroad. It's all good. His choice at the end of the day, but here we go. We're getting into game number 2, and spawning in the top right hand corner of Hecate, we have the Red Terran player representing Team Little Fairy down to the series. Looking to fight back. It is CranKy. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the purple Protoss player representing Dragon Kai Z Gaming, leading the series 1-0. It is Jeshi. Go. Thought nobody was streaming. I'm a little bit surprised because a lot of casters are traveling, true, but there are some that aren't. Specifically, as we're going for a proxy, specifically Wardy. Wardy didn't go to DreamHack Atlanta, so I'm a little bit surprised that he isn't here casting. He's a little bit less consistent when it comes to ESL Asia, but every now and then he pops up, and yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that he's not here. I'm curious if he's going to be here for ESL Europe. It might be worth it. We typically don't cast ESL Open Cup Europe on this channel just because it's at a bad time slots. I am on a DGen sleep schedule though because of DreamHack Atlanta. It might be worth us staying up to cover ESL EU because I'm concerned if Wardy isn't here for Asia, I'm concerned that he's not going to be there for EU. And that means that there won't be anyone casting ESL Open Cup Europe. Because Zombie Grub is traveling, Roddy's traveling, Steadfast, Behemoth, Chicken Man, Dave Tessa, they're all traveling, they're all at the event. I just realized that. I just realized that if we don't stay up for Europe, then there might not be anyone covering Europe. So I'll think about it. I'll think about it. We may decide to just do it anyway. Look, we're not gonna sleep anyway. Okay, it's fine. We'll cast all the StarCraft. We'll do it all. Shaking my head. For now, though, we are going for a proxy gateway across the map with one gateway back at home. Hyper-aggression here from Jeshi. His goal here is to deny the natural. CranKy did go for an economic opener. He went for a racks expand into a factory. As a result, that is a delay on the CC already so far. The Zealot survives. No shot. The Zealot does make it out alive. The boys are being pulled. Oh, this Zealot has to get the hell out of there. Get out of here, Poppy. It's not safe. The boys are here. The boys are back in town. They take down the Zealots. But Stalkers have arrived. More SCVs going down, and we should be able to shut down the CC once again. Jeshi snowballing out of control. He delays that natural for a second time. And he gets into the main. The Adept does shade in. Gets recovered not to be surrounded. Okay, he doesn't commit. Yeah, his goal here, cancel the natural, if possible. If possible, cancel the natural base. But the Cyclone has arrived. With the arrival of the Cyclone, we should be able to force this back. As so far, good guiding. We stay within range. We take down one of those Stalkers, but that Cyclone is so very low. We do complete the CC. Coffee does finish it just in time, which means he can morph it into an orbital. He should be able to expand. Should be able to get into a longer game. Back at home, Jeshi is transitioning. He's expanding. He's working towards Twilight Council, towards Blink. The game will progress from here. But Coffee's economy has been stifled. I like the conspiracy of Max X's life pretending to be someone else. I didn't like that. I didn't like that theory either. I'd like to not tarnish Max X's name by associating him with someone like Life. That's yeah. I'd rather not. Regardless, Stalker's going to be threatening a push up the ramp, containing his opponent. I was assuming that Coffee, once he got up to 2 of these Cyclones, he'd be able to regain control of his natural, but alas, is forced up into his main base. Tank is on the way. That will help here, but Jeshi just getting further and further ahead here in the economy, taking advantage of his natural, probing up completely here. Still doesn't have Blink, but he doesn't need it. All he has to do is contain. That's the win condition here for Jeshi. Just contain, delay. Oh, misplaced force field, barely doesn't catch the Cyclone. And finally, Coffee can mine. Finally, he is able to take control of that natural. Tank is going to be sieging up. We go for another weapon of Stalkers. Jeshi, he's not done. He should be, though. Yeah, we need to calm down. Jeshi needs to calm things down here. As the tanks, they do move forward. We take control of their proxy location. Island is going to be going down. We do depower that gateway. And Coffee he can finally mine freely here from his 2 bases. As he gets his natural up and running, Jeshi is taking a third. Like, Jeshi economically is looking quite comfortable. Blink has now completed, so he has a lot more micro potential with his main army as well. Tanks are on the high ground, so Jeshi has to be very wary here. Does tank some of those shots to the face with the Marines? Yeah, they're here to protect. Jeshi does get punished, but he has the sentry with this hallucination. We can throw down a hallucination, we can gain high ground vision, and Jeshi can go right for the main base. Coffee out of position. We could end up in a base trade. Uh-oh. This may be the best opportunity here for Coffee, though. As we dive into the main, we look to deny Stim. Stim is so close, but it's gonna be cancelled. It's gonna be shut down. And Coffee, we're going all in. The boys are being pulled. The tanks are on the way. It's all or nothing for Coffee. And he can depower this Robo. Uh-oh. He dives on top of the Robo. Depower. He's just gonna straight up kill it. Robo's gonna go down. Stalkers, they're wreaking havoc here across the map. 13, 15 SCVs go down as well. It's all or nothing for Coffee. He's got 3 tanks here with his main army. Got plenty of Marines, no Stim. And we are banking up units, so we're recalling. The Stalkers, they recall back home. And we go for the surround, we go for the dive. A little bit disjointed here. We get on top of one of those tanks and get on top of the other as well. Can we get both tanks? The Stalkers, they get annihilated. The probes, the citizens arrest, can they pull it off? It looks like they barely can clean up the tanks, just barely. The tanks go down, and we clean up the Marines. It was a costly trade. It cost us 37 probes, but Jeshi holds. Was it worth it, though? Jeshi's down to 11 workers. Coffee, he's on 17 plus mules. And he has an army. He has 2 tanks, Marines. Jeshi has 2 Stalkers remaining. 3 Stalkers. The recall, maybe a little bit misjudged. Maybe we should have committed here and actually gotten rid of the economy. It would have been a tough decision to make nonetheless. We catch some reinforcements, we get some Marines. Coffee's committing. He's second base trade of the game. Let's go. Boys are being pulled. And Jeshi has to be very careful to get surrounded here. Oh, he does dive on forward on top of the Marines. But I think Coffee has too much. Coffee, he has too much. He's fighting back in this series. Looking to tie things up. Gets on top of the third base with his tanks. And it looks like Coffee, he just has too much. Denies any kind of mining here at the third. Going for the natural. Jeshi warping in desperately, trying to get some kind of army up and running. He's got some charge lots. Charge lots doing well for themselves. Good force field. We do slice up some of those Marines. Overcharge is popped. Can Jeshi defend? He did lose all of his soldiers across the map. A third tank is on the way. Oof. Defending with purely charge lots is so difficult here. He does take some big tank shots to the face, but he does close the distance. Tank's going to be going down. Yeah, the tank count completely reset here. I say there's still one left. Jeshi's holding. Look at the unit stat. We have 6 zealots here against 1 tank and 5 marines. And mate, these charge lots, they can go to town. They can get on top of the final tank. They get on top of the tank and it's gonna go down. The charge lots, they can't be stopped. They won't stop. We have another reinforcing tank though, and we are overextending. We are overextending. Jeshi, he has to calm things down, back off, resaturate his bases. He's making probes. Coffee making SCVs. Do we stabilize? Do we stabilize? Do we end up in a more macro game? Is this happening? Aye. This is brutal. Okay, so a couple of things. One, Stim. Stim is a big one. Stim was denied. We've been working without Stim this entire time. Stim is going to be a game changer, and we're going to be hitting a very big power spike. Not just with Stim, also with medevacs that are now coming out, and +1. We scan, we take down the observer. These are some big upgrades on the way here for Coffee. He's going for a drop. Meanwhile, Jeshi, what do we have to work with? We have Blink, Charge, and soon to be +1 armor. It looks like we're forgetting about Blink. We're going to Charge Lot, Archon, Storm. But we need time. That's the problem. Jeshi, he's in position to deny any kind of ground push. He's not in position to defend against a drop. We don't have... Okay, we can recall. We can recall back home. We have a High Templar for a feedback. The job comes in at the same time. Coffee runs into siege tanks. Sorry, Jeshi runs into siege tanks. Coffee diving on top of the main base, forces the recall as well. But again, with Stim, we clean up the zealots. Stim, it's too good. We have the feedback. Do feedback the medevac. We get the surround. Force the pickup. Coffee, though, he's not done. He wants to get as much value as he can out of this drop. And here comes the tanks. The tanks are moving out, and it looks like Coffee should be able to have this. He should be able to get a kill on this base. Jeshi, he fought hard. Don't get me wrong, he fought so damn hard here. But there's only so much you can do with charge lots. Only so much. As we are going to be committing here. Tanks getting within range, wedging themselves in between the bases. Third base is going to go down, and we are zoning away the army from the natural. Tank shots go off. Big tank volleys. And Coffee snowballing out of control. Loses a tank, loses a second tank, but his Marines, the man with gun, they reign supreme. GG gets called, and we tie up the series 1-1. GG. GG, well played. We have a series. We have a back and forth. We are tied up 1-1. Oh, hello, Jimmy Jam. Tal, ¿cómo estás? So getting into not quite the ace match. Remember, it's a best of 5, so plenty of games are ahead of us, and I'm glad that we're getting a back and forth. Here we go, spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn. We have our Chinese Terran player, our red Terran, representing Team Little Fairy, fighting back in that last game. That was That was brutal though. He came back from the brink, to be honest, after the cheese, after the proxy. I don't know if I would call it cheese, but after the proxy of his opponent, he did claw his way back in, tying up the series and looking to take a lead here. It is Coffee. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the purple Chinese player here representing Dragon Kaiser Gaming, the purple Protoss. It is Jeshi. Here we go. We are going to be settling into this, into a more back and forth series. Do love to see it. Do love to see it here. This time, Jeshi not moving out across the map. This time, we will not have a proxy gateway. Honestly, it was a good start. Talking a little bit about that last game, it was a really good start from Jeshi to be able to delay that natural base for as long as possible, to be able to get so much damage done, to snipe Stim as well. That was another big moment. But he did trigger the base trade, and Jeshi didn't have enough back at him to defend. Coffee was able to snowball out of control. His tank counts really did carry him for quite some time, and did end up claiming that win in the end. It was close though. Was a close game. Now we're going to be settling into game number 3. Let's go. As for now, Prob's going to be scouting here. Looks like Jeshi is looking for any kind of proxy out on the map, just to make sure that everything is on the up and up. Making sure that he doesn't get cheesed. I don't blame him, especially after the last game with Jeshi proxying. I'm sure he's a little bit wary that Coffee would turn the tables. Speaking of, it is going to be a double gas opener. Much more aggressive opener here from our Terran player. We have a delayed CC and a faster factory. So Coffee is looking to be in the driver's seat here. And we'll see how hard he commits. Is still expanding, so it's not going to be a one-base all-in. But this should be a faster starport here. Looking to be, we could even go into a Cyclone drop. I'm curious. Reaper dips in, dips out. Confirming the gateway, confirming the expansion. There's a starport on the way. And Cyclones early on, they can have quite a lot of value. They can wreak havoc here in a TVP. Reaper is going to be forced back. We have yet to determine our tech of choice. Oh, wait, no, my apologies. There it is. It is going to be a Twilight Council opener into Blink. Looking at the vision of Coffee, he was unable to confirm this. He is unaware whether this is going to be Twilight Council or Stargate or a Robo. But the first Cyclone has arrived, and we are going to be pushing. Behind this, we're looking to go for an add-on swap, I think. Yep, there we go. Going for an add-on swap. So this is not going to be a Cyclone drop. This is going to be an add-on swap into, I imagine, Raven or Banshee. What are we going for? We are going for the Banshee. Now, we saw this succeed quite a lot against Stats earlier. Earlier today, we casted Coffee versus Stats, and actually it was on this map. It was on Oceanborn, where Coffee was able to just wreak havoc with his Banshees as well as his 2-base push. Reaper gets in, 2 probes go down. We do get eyes on the Twilight Council. We are aware of Blink. Reaper will go down, but did well for himself, getting 2 probes, confirming the tech. Really good scout there from Coffee. Behind this, we're getting into a gateway explosion. That's 1 gateway in the natural, 1 gateway done in the main, and 2 more gates in production. 4 gate blink. 4 gate blink here from Jeshi. Very aggressive style here. Now, this is not all in. We will still eventually expand behind this, but with 4 gateways, we have a lot of warp in potential. Prism is on the way. Jeshi is pushing. He's going to be pushing here on 2 bases. And I'm a little bit concerned about what Coffee will have to defend. He will have 1 tank. He should have a 2nd tank soon on the way. But again, Coffee just hasn't seen the gateway count. He's not fully aware of how aggressive Jeshi is about to be. We're just waiting for the Warp Prism. Prism is out, and we're going to be pushing. Marine goes down. We see the lack of expansion. That is a bit of a tell. Coffee is pushing. Oh my, he's crazy. Coffee is going to be moving out. At the same time, the Banshee does rock up, and we don't have detection. Uh-oh. No detection is available. Probes are going down, and this forces Jeshi back home. Does force him back. Does delay the push. Coffee getting... So this push from Coffee is designed to deny the 3rd, but there is no 3rd. That's the problem here. There is no 3rd base. Coffee does rock up, but that's a lot of Stalkers. Yeah, we dive on top of the tank. The tank is going to go down. The Prism gets targeted by those Cyclones, but we should be able to clean this up. Yeah, there is no stim. The Marines go down. The Banshee as well. It's going to be a brutal trade. At the same time, another Banshee rocks up. We are getting economic damage done. Coffee may have lost his main army, but he is, gaining value here. He delayed the third. That's how many worker kills? 10, 12 in total? And he keeps these Stalkers pinned back home. This is important. Honestly, if Coffee had lost everything, and if Jeshu was free to push out, Coffee would be in a lot of trouble. He has very little back at home to defend. No bunker, just now getting his tanks up and running. If Jeshu was free to push out, if he had kept that Prism alive, then he could even kill Coffee. Could have even with his push. But these Banshees, oh my god, they're still going ham. But we lose the Banshee in the natural. We have one observer in each base. Bit of an overextension from Coffee. And behind this Coffee, now taking a worker lead. Still on a 3-1-1 setup. No third CC yet, but we should be throwing one down soon. We'll see if we commit into a third base or 2 more Raxes. We can go one way or the other. We can either commit to an all-in or we can transition. So we'll keep an eye on Coffee. Meanwhile, Jeshi is getting his third base up and running. Again, he lost his Prism, so he's stuck back at home. Also because of this Banshee as well. SCV Scout does confirm the third has been taken. Coffee didn't know. He wasn't aware if he was being all-in. And now he's working on a big timing. Here we go. We have confirmation, by the way. That is not a third CC. That is 2 more Raxes. 2 more Raxes get thrown down. It's going to be a 5-Rax setup. Stim, Combat Shields +1 is on the way. This is going to be a pretty committed push. I'm still saying committed. I'm still not convinced that it's all in. We could pull the boys with this. We could pull the boys, or we could still throw down a third. It would be a late third, which means we have to get damage done, but we could still see a third base nonetheless. Also, very important observer. Jeshi, he sees the tank out, he sees the move out. He sees 5 tanks pushing, and we pull the boys! Does he see the boys? He does. He sees the boys. It's a 2-base all-in. It's all or nothing here for Coffee. And Jeshi, what does he have to defend? Did he not see the boys? I'm concerned. 1 shield battery. He's warping in a couple of zealots. He does have charge. He has 1 immortal. No splash damage. No colossi. The boys have arrived. And Coffee, he's committing, and there's not much to defend. Jeshi, he's being caught with his pants down. 1 shield battery, 1 overcharge in a dream. And we are breaking on through. The tanks are sieging. We dive on top of the tanks. We focus down 1, but there's 5 tanks. Yeah, 4 of them survive. Big tank shots going off on the Zealots. And Coffee is snowballing out of control. He will lose 24 SCVs, but he breaks the army. He breaks the third, and he breaks his opponent. GG gets called. Coffee will take a 2-1 lead in this series. GG, well played. Whew. Again, Coffee achieving so much with those Banshees, keeping his opponent pinned back at home. Okay, so there's a couple of things that occurred here. It wasn't just the economic damage. Remember, the third base of Jeshi was also delayed. Not just that, it was delayed for multiple reasons. 1, because of the army, because of the aggression, but also because of the build. 4-gate blink is aggressive, and if you go 4-gate blink, you need to get damage done across the map. You need to be able to trade, you need to be able to be active as well. We opened up 4-gate blink, but we were stuck at home. We were stuck being defensive. So the advantage of that build for Jeshi is to have a large army, but he wasn't able to make use of that army. He was instead trying to pivot and transition into a longer, more macro game by taking that third base and being more defensive. So the opener of Jeshi wasn't really gelling too well with kind of the outcome of that game and kind of the direction of the game itself. That was also working against the Protoss player. And Coffee was able to snowball out of control, move out, unscattered, unseen. Despite the observer, Jeshi didn't look like he was fully aware of the attack coming, and with that, we're getting into game 4. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Hard Lead, we have our Red Terran player representing Team Little Fairy. 1 game away. 1 game away from advancing on here, from becoming this week's ESL Open Cup Asia champion. It is Coffee. And spawning. in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the purple Protoss player representing CranKy Gaming down in this series, looking to fight back here and now. It is Jeshi. Here we go. Here we go, as we're settling into potentially the final game of this series. Into game 4. CranKy needs uno más, one more. And we'll keep an eye on the openers. Jeshi, once again, he's checking for proxies. He's checking some of these fringe locations, making sure that everything is safe, everything is as it should be. Going for a gate cyber expand. And is setting up here on 2 bases. CranKy back at home, going for a Rax expand as well, so an economic opener. Oh, a standard opener from Jeshi, economic opener from CranKy. This time, not going double gas. Remember, last game he went double gas into a 1-1-1 Banshee-based build. This time more economic. This time his factory is going to be a little bit delayed. We could even go into a 3 racks behind this. We are loading into hard lead. Hard lead has a very short rush distance by ground. If we wanted to 3 racks, this would be a good map for it. But there's a factory. Okay, so it's not going to be a 3 racks. We're getting to the factory. This could still be a 3-1-1 setup. We'll see. We'll see what CranKy has in store for us, as the first Reaper is moving out. Is moving out across the map. Does come across the natural. Going to try to find a way into the main base. So far, the Reaper is going to be zoned away by the Adept. And we do not get eyes on the opener. It's going to be a Stargate opener from Jeshi. When CranKy is looking to be aggressive. What I mean by that, back at home, CranKy. That is not a starport, that is a second rack. So this is looking like a 3-1-1 setup here, where you get a 3rd racks as well behind this before the starport. It means that we do delay medevac production, we delay kind of drop play early on and scouting information, this is true, but we build up a massive ground-based army. We hit a timing with eventually those medevacs. And there it is, there's a 3rd racks. So we're getting a very aggressive build here. Going to be prioritizing just building up Marines, Marauders, Stim, Combat Shields, Cyclones, Tanks. And again, eventually we push with the starport. Now, to be fair, there is another variation of this build. I think we saw this a couple of days ago. I think we saw it in DreamHack, actually. I think Spirit did it over the weekend, where instead of waiting for the starport, you pull the boys and you attack before medevacs. And you catch the Protoss player with their pants down, completely off guard with a very early offbeat timing. So there is the opportunity here if you wanted to go for a 2-base all-in, where we can attack before the starport even is made. Or if it's more macro oriented, go down the starport, get medevacs. We can go one or the other. Meanwhile, Oracle comes in, Cyclone is in position, and oh my, that's a lot of damage being dealt. But the Oracle does get eyes on, not much. The Raxes are safe behind this. Raxes have not been spotted. Jeshi is still in the dark. Behind this, getting into Phoenixes. This is ideal for CranKy. Phoenixes are really good when it comes to denying drop play, when it comes to shutting down Widowmine drops, Banshees. Like, Phoenixes are generally a very safe opener, a safe way to play, but they struggle against bio-heavy compositions early on, like a 3 racks or a 3-1-1 like this. Because what can Phoenixes do? They can pick up a Marine at a time. They can pick up the tanks, but we have plenty of Marines to protect those tanks. Speaking of, tank production is underway. Behind this, we are getting into... Okay, it's going to be Phoenix Colossus. The Robotics Bay is in production. Oh, did a Phoenix go down? No, Probe. Okay. Probe does fall. And we are slowly getting to those Colossi. Meanwhile, we are just working on our upgrades. Stim, Combat Shields. With this add-on swap, are we throwing down that Starport? We are! Okay, Starport is on the way. The Observer does get sniped! Oh my, keen eyes here out of CranKy, just denying any kind of scouting here. We don't know what's going on, but Jeshi did see the starport in production. That's a big tell. Like, seeing how late the starport is screams 2 more Raxes. So Jeshi should be aware. Should be aware. By the time this push arrives, we should have a Colossus. We go for the scan, we see the bay. We know the Colossi are coming. Oracle is going to dip into that mineral line. Stim is done, but we don't want to waste our stims. We do get a couple of SCVs. Oh god, that Oracle is so low. Oh god. And it will go down to the Cyclone. Only gets 3 SCVs, but it will slow down the push. Oh my god, massive stasis trap. Big delay here for Coffee. Do we throw down the 3rd CC? Medevacs are in production. Again, we did want to hit a timing with these Medevacs, just so we could have some sustain, but Jeshi, he sees this coming a mile away. He's got a shield battery set up here at the natural. He has a shield battery on the way here at the 3rd. Getting into his production. Forge, Twilight Council, Charge and +1, or even Blink on the way. And we now have soon to be a 2nd Colossus. Jeshi, he can hold with this. It's not going to be easy, but it's possible. Meanwhile, Coffee, I still don't see another CC. We are going to be committing. We are going to be pushing. Now, what do we have to work with? This is spotted by the Observer. We have 3 tanks, a couple of Medevacs, 4 Marauders, a big chunk of Marines, and behind this we are pulling some boys, not all boys. We are meeting the army. Do someone forward. Try to pick off some of those Phoenixes. Good siege here from Coffee. I'm loving the... So it's only enough SCVs to repair. Only enough to repair, which means we are going to be transitioning afterwards. We try to go for the drop. The Phoenixes are in position, and 1 full medevac is going to go down. Half a full medevac. Big pickup. Oh, Coffee bleeding out a little bit too much. Jeshi in position, still lying in wait, waiting for a drop as well. We're down to 1 medevac. Vikings, they have arrived, but now we're up to 3 Colossi. Oh my, that's a lot of Colossus. It's a lot of Colossi here. Turrets are being thrown down. Phoenix, they do dive on top of that Viking, and they will be able to focus it down. Big pick off. Medevac as well, barely survives, and Jeshi, he's just having his way with this. Cutting Coffee off at his knees. Colossi in position. They denied the turrets as well. Behind this, still no 3rd CC, by the way. Coffee still slowly leapfrogging forward. He can still take a fight, don't get me wrong. He can still take a fight. But he needs the most perfect connections with his tank volleys. Takes down 1 Phoenix, but we still have continued Phoenix production. Eventually here, the goal is going to be the Phoenixes dive on top of the tanks, and the army dives on top of the rest of the army. And we're committing! Oh god, a little bit less than ideal here. A lot of Zealots go down. Big tank shots going off. 1 Colossus is going to fall. We're down to 2 Colossi, but here we go. The Phoenixes, they come in from behind, and they pick up 3 of those tanks. Only 1 tank is going to be firing. We are running out of a ground army, though. The Colossi are falling. They're falling to the Vikings. Oh, can we do it? We barely saved the tank. The Colossi go down, the Vikings land. And Coffee, can he break through? His army is heavily overstimmed. There's 1 Immortal that arrives. No shield battery in position. No overcharge. The Immortal goes down. We're camping the production. We have Zealots from behind. God, this tank is so low. The tank is on 3 HP. And we retreat. A wise choice. I feel like if we went into the natural, we get surrounded. Would have gotten surrounded. Coffee is backing off, meeting up with reinforcements. And he throws down 2 more Raxes. Oh, that's a little bit worrisome. So, again, Coffee's all in. Coffee is all in, essentially, and Jeshi, he has a booming economy. He's up 20 workers. He has some recovering to do. He did lose the Robo, so he actually can't make a Colossus. Uh-oh. He's making 2 Robos at a time right now. Scan reveals the 4th. Coffee, we gotta commit. He backs off to repair. Because he backs off, he's allowing Jeshi to get back into this Robo production and back into Colossi. This is looking a little bit worrisome. Coffee is gonna be pushing, this time with the boys. This time, I mean, yeah, again, we're completely all in. Jeshi behind this, warping in as much as he can. That's a lot of Zealots. Going into Immortal production, not Colossus. Interesting choice. Coffee does have the supply lead. He throws down some bunkers. Tanks are getting sieged up. Good SimCity here from Coffee, making sure he doesn't get pounced upon by those zealots. SCVs are in position to block. Don't want to go in too soon. Storm is done. Storm is done. We should have 2 in the chamber. We focus on one of the High Templar, then we have 1 Storm. Only 1 Storm. The Zealots, they collapse on the tanks. The Marines and Marauders are trying to hold on the Vikings. They land. We have 1 tank left. And 0 tanks left. But we clean up the army. Coffee, has he done it? He barely breaks through. Gets on top of the shield battery. Immortals are on the way. We're trying to feedback, we're trying to do whatever we can. The Liberator arrives, and Coffee's done it. He camps the production, he camps the robots, he shuts them down. And Coffee, he barely breaks through. This was a bit of a delayed, disjointed 2-base all-in, but it works. Again, sniping that robot earlier was massive. He salvages the bunkers, gets whatever resources he can left, still rallying everything across the map. That 1 robot is still alive. He's pushing it at the same time. He peels off a couple of Marines, gets on top of the 4th. Pushing towards that natural. That Immortal may be able to pop out. It's going to be close. Zealots, they will defend. Ah, yeah, that robot's going to go down, thankfully. Robot does get picked off. Jeshi getting ready for first round. He recalls to the right-hand side. Oh my god, he's crazy. But the kiting is too good. We pull back to the tank. We pull back to the lib. GG gets called. It's just too much. And Coffee will take the series a 3-1, becoming this week's ESL Open Cup Asia 206 champion. GG. GG, well played. The second 2-base all-in of the game. Oh my god. I mean, the first one was pretty close as well. The fact that he was able to break the army, get on top of the production, shut down the robot. Like, honestly, I mentioned it at the time, but killing that robot was huge. It did deny any kind of additional Colossus production or Immortal production. The army was that much lackluster as a result. We went into Storm. There were 2 High Templar. It happened very quickly there, but Coffee target fired the High Templar at the start of the fight, and he killed 1 of them instantly, so there was only 1 Storm instead of 2. 1 additional Storm, that could have been the difference there when it comes to the defense. That could have been it. That could have been all that he needed. That was so close. GG, well played. Coffee, he's able to pull it off. Congratulations. My condolences to Jeshi. But, my condolences, but, again, he did pose a threat here, did take a game, did create a series out of this. They're actually talking to each other. Jeshi's like, oh, I couldn't hold, Papi. I couldn't hold. And Coffee's letting him know, I thought I was gonna lose. Oh god, he's like, I thought that I was dead. I thought that after the first failed all-in that it was over, Papi. It was over. I appreciate it. They have a lot of respect for each other. They're talking about the game. Even Coffee didn't believe. But, yeah, with that, GG, well played. Coffee does take it in the end, and congratulations to Coffee. Big shout out to Jeshi as well for making it this far, and a shout out to all the other players that did compete tonight. Again, it was a bit of a smaller bracket here just because of so many players traveling. If you weren't here earlier, the reason why a lot of the big Korean names aren't here is because that they are still in America. They are still not at home, they're still not in Korea because of DreamHack Atlanta over the weekend. So because of that, a lot of your big names were missing. Despite that though, a great tournament and a really good showcase for Coffee. Coffee popped off, took down Stats, took down Jeshi. His TVP on point. I do think that that's probably the best matchup for Coffee. I do think that his best matchup is Terran versus Protoss. Coffee is a little bit more restricted against Zerg. There's a little bit less kind of fluidity that you can have when it comes to 2-base all-ins, or when it comes to your openers and aggression. Coffee, though, not too bad when it comes to TVT. I do think that his TVT is looking quite solid as well, so really well done. Really amazing to see Coffee able to win his first ESL Open Cup as well. Congratulations. Congratulations. With that, we are going to be wrapping up here for the time being. I'm still on the fence if I want to cast ESL Open Cup Europe, just because, you know, my throat. That's a lot of casting. It's a lot of casting. We'll see how we feel. ESL Open Cup Europe is in 5 hours. That's a long time away. Is it really in 5 hours? Let me refresh. It's in 5 hours. It's so far. Why can't it be like in like 2 hours? Oh my god, that's so long. That's so far away. We'll see. We'll see. Keep an eye on our social media. Keep an eye on our Discord server, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Discord. All things CranKy Ducklings. Again, we cast here on a daily basis. We usually cast ESL Open Cup Asia and ESL Open Cup Americas. But as I mentioned before, because there are a lot of casters traveling, and because Wardy didn't cover Asia today, and he usually does, or typically does, he might be taking a day off. I don't know. I don't know if he's like maybe on holiday, maybe he's taking a vacation. It is December, so it would make sense to be maybe just enjoying some time off. So if that's the case, then I feel obligated. I feel obligated to at least have one English caster for ESL Europe, even though we never casted it. We've literally casted ESL Europe once. We've casted it once and it was via replays. It was a replay cast, I think like earlier this year. So I may as well go for it. Meanwhile, if you're tuning in for the first time, we cast... welcome, I'm Live VIP. We cast here on the CranKy Ducklings on a daily basis. We've been casting almost daily here ever since 2020, ever since the start of COVID. We've been focusing a lot here on casting StarCraft full-time. Before COVID, we would only cast like a couple of times a week, like 2019, 2018, 2017. A couple of times a week we'd be active on this channel, but we've been going full-time here ever since COVID, essentially, and yeah, we put in the work. You know, that's something that we take pride in here. We are live more than any of the other community casters out there. We cast as much as we cast everything, Bob. We cast everything. And we were even the C stream over the weekend. We were casting DreamHack Atlanta. We were the C stream for day 1 and day 2 of DreamHack Atlanta. So I recommend check out the VODs. We had some really good games. We casted some standout performances. Was Spirit versus Shin was a lot of fun. Classic versus Lambo in day 2 was a banger as well. A lot of a laser versus Vindicta. Oh my god, if you missed out, a laser versus Vindicta was beautiful. That was day 1, I believe, day 1 of DreamHack Atlanta. So the VODs are on Twitch, eventually on YouTube. Exclamation mark YouTube in the chat if you guys want to check that out. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for the support. I'm gonna go get some food, gonna go take a break, and in 5 hours time we'll see if we end up covering ESL Europe. I might nap. I might just go to bed. I might just go to bed and have some sleep and try to come in with a fresh mind and a fresh face for Europe. We'll see. Otherwise, thank you so much. We do appreciate it. Yeah, outside of that, if we don't cast Europe, we will be casting America. ESL Open Cup Americas is in 12 hours. 12 hours time. Plenty of time to get some rest and get ready for some ESL Open Cup Americas action. Otherwise, thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the support. We do appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time. See you guys next time, Bobby. Gracias, gracias. Hasta luego, hasta luego. And yeah, enjoy the Bureau OST. Stick around, we're going to be giving another StarCraft streamer a raid. Not too sure who, but we typically find some smaller streamers to support. So stick around, we'll find someone, give them a chance, give them some support. Until then, hasta luego. Ciao, ciao, hasta luego.